Tryon's got his. Oh, right. Well, welcome back to the Holy GrAHL. We're trying this again, part two. So, we are here live at the First Energy Stadium here in Cleveland, Ohio, for the Outdoor Classic, and yeah, warm-ups right now. I really don't know what else to say other than, yeah, I think are finally going underway. It took a little bit. It's been about 5 hour delay, but we are back. We were here. So welcome to, I guess, episode 56, part two, the sun is down edition, I guess, of this episode. So guys, now that we've had a chance to kind of regroup, reset, we all have our cup of coffee here because it's been a long day. Let's just get right back into it because we're just basically starting over, just like they're doing here at First Energy Stadium. They're going right back to the beginning of everything, warm-ups, introductions, all of that. So I want to know, guys, now, what are your predictions for this game?
Oh, it's going to be so hard to call this one. Now you guys get all amped up, all psyched, and now hit the reset button 5 hours later. But, I mean, we got some promising signs. We got bums in seats. We got guys are at the bench. I think we're about to hit it here. It looks like they're cleaning up, and then we're going to get ready to get this game started. I'm going to totally hit a 180 because history told me to go for the visiting team in these games. So I think you got Wilkes-Barre both these clubs are desperate to get back in the win column, get back into the playoff race in their own respective divisions. But you know what? It's going to come down to I like the energy that Tux was bringing pregame all day long, and I think he's beaten out Sully in the mascot game. And I think the players are really going to respond to that. They're going to roll up to that energy, and I like his pick. I like a 3-0 Wilkes-Barre win.
I think it's important to understand the situation for both these teams right now. Cleveland right now has lost 3 straight games heading into this one, and Wilkes-Barre Scranton has lost 4 straight. So when I kind of look at that and I look at Wilkes-Barre's last 10 record, which is 2-10, I think that there's a lot at stake for both these teams. Cleveland is really trying to prove that they can actually just win a game against Wilkes-Barre, which we know in the past 5 years has been 2-10. 1-5 at home. So for me, I want to kind of look at this as an opportunity for Cleveland to kind of get ahead of that and use their record to their advantage.
And I'm Deana Weinheimer, your Monsters beat editor here. And I know beat bias, but I have to go with the beat bias here. They're on home ice. These fans have been amazing coming back in after everything just being so difficult. I'm going to go with that. And while they do the anthem here, I am going to go ahead and present a quick interview that we had with Ben Adams, director of the communications for the Cleveland Monsters, and talking about how this day came about and basically what this means for the community. So I know you guys have been preparing for this day for a long time. It's finally here. But let's kind of rewind the clock a little bit. How did this outdoor game even really come about?
Yeah, so it's the kind of opportunity we had to jump at. We heard the Browns were hosting basically a number of hockey events here, and as a key part of that, they reached out to us pretty early on in the process with the idea of sort of bookending this celebration of hockey here at First Energy Stadium with Ohio State, Michigan, and then ending with our game. So we were able to work with First Energy Stadium to get the ice for this date in March. March, we were never sure what to expect in Cleveland, but today the weather cooperated, and so that happened back in the summer, and it's kind of surreal to be here today.
Right, and especially now that, of course, we've got GrAHL celebrating a massive franchise-tying milestone, joining the likes of Justin Scott as Mr. Monster. And just kind of talk about this timing. What does it mean to the organization to celebrate a player like him on top of this?
Yeah, the stars really aligned there. He's an absolute fan favorite. We've got a nice little video tribute for him today that I think our fans are really going to enjoy. But he's been so important to this organization. to be able to celebrate what he's done for our organization on this stage is really special. Just in general, it's going to be we're anticipating one of the top 3 largest crowds in AHL history, and to be able to get the AHL back outdoors for the first time in a few years here in Cleveland has been really special.
Now let's talk about the fans and the community just a little bit here. I know some are already out in the Muni lot, tailgating, having a great time. We have a lot of people from the community coming here. I'm just going to talk about what it's been like for the greater North Ohio region here.
Yeah, I'm getting some photos from the tailgates of grills and all that. I'm a little jealous. I wish I was out there too, but we were able to work with our partners at First Energy to donate a lot of these tickets out to charity. So 1,500 tickets are going to a variety of nonprofits, from Ticket to Hope to the USO to organizations that focus on underserved youth. So really we're able to give a lot of people a really special experience today. On top of our Monsters fans who we knew are going to show up in huge numbers.
Now for you and your department, what has this prep been like? I know you guys have been putting in a lot of extra hours here.
Yeah, it's been a beast, but it's you don't get a chance to do projects like this very often, so it's something we've completely embraced.
It's the highest.
We were here super early this morning. We were doing run-throughs last night in the rain, and once we get the players on the ice, I mean, we goosebumps just like everybody else. And it's just really cool to actually be here today after all that work. So our team does such an awesome job at the field house, and we get to try it somewhere new. So
absolutely. Well, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you so much for your time. Definitely appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks so much, Ben. Have a good one.
All right, and we are back, and the puck is down at First Energy Stadium here. Yuna Lowoto actually getting the first shot on net against Dustin Tokarski. So we've got quite a bit of fans that actually came back into the stadium today. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm impressed after this 5-hour delay, the amount of fans that still stuck around and came back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a once in a, I mean, it's been how many years since the last outdoor game? So I love seeing the dedication from these fans to, maybe take a couple hours to go in, see the city, and then come on back at the rescheduled time. And credit to the ice crew for getting this surface up to playing standards, because it was looking pretty dicey there for a couple hours, but they worked diligently while we all kind of hung out. They spent the entire time getting this ice surface ready to roll, and here we are. We're watching a hockey game in a football stadium. It's kind of surreal.
And we kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but the weather can be such a changing factor in something like this. And, talking a little bit about that delay that was earlier, coming off the water, that wind can change how clouds look. And, especially if on smaller systems, that can really change. And cloud cover is considered a pretty small system in terms of weather terms. So when you kind of have that, the sun was kind of at that high noon sort of mark, and it was just beating down on the ice, and it was a watery, goopy kind of mess. They went over, and let me tell you, when we say this, they spent hours dry scraping that thing, and then they finally gave it one or two good wet scrapes, like what you'd normally see in the intermissions. So that kind of made a big factor, and the ice looks considerably good now compared to what we seen a couple hours ago.
I can just say one thing right now. Guys, we are doing this. This is actually happening. So, yeah, the Cleveland Monsters, Wilkes-Barre Scranton on the ice, but we're going to go ahead and kind of get into the show here with some breaking news. And we've talked about this a little bit for people who are joining in on our evening show, and this will kind of be the show that we pump out to like Spotify and all that. We have a celebrity in our midst, and as you can see, he is enshrined by the sun. He is just so high and shining so bright right now. Zack, you need to give us a little bit of context here, our viral celebrity.
Okay, so I think it's important to kind of give some context. And again, I apologize if you were here earlier, but you might hear the story again. Um, I came down from Canada. Of course, I don't really live next to an NHL team much anymore, and so this was really my first NHL game. And I figured, okay, well, I want to be able to make this as a big splash, and I want to just bring back a memento, right? And more than anything, and this was the memento I decided to bring back. According to the team store, I was the first one who did this in their store. Um, but little do I know that went viral. There's almost 500,000 views on that tweet alone. There's many others as well. Um, I would say it took about 45 seconds for someone to point out, oh my God, that's a Jonathan Quick jersey. Of course, if you don't really know or not in the loop, Jonathan Quick was a Blue Jacket for all of 6 hours. So I decided that this is the memento I wanted to bring back. Never thought anything of it that it would explode to this, but I've seen just about everybody under the sun sharing it, including my mother to me. So if it goes all the way back around to her, then maybe it's a bit of a problem. But you know what? I'm all for it. It was a good joke, and I'll have something to bring back home to me to Canada.
I really enjoyed the people on Twitter who said it was a Photoshop and that it was a fake, and like as if that would be like some kind of clever way to do what now exactly. So everyone in our section loved it. He got some handshakes, a few fist bumps, and a lot of cheers. And for a day, Zack, our wonderful piece of our podcast and our team here at Field Pass, he's a member of Blue Jackets hockey lore forever.
And you know what? This is the thing too. I think it's very important to understand. I'm a Habs fan, and so I mean, I'm sorry, Columbus fans. I'm happy to be on your team, but like Habs fan first and foremost. Yeah, it was definitely a little strange going throughout the stadium and the concourse, and even someone came up to me during the intermission and said, come here," and then shook my hand. So I mean, that's definitely a little strange. I wasn't expecting that, but you know what? It was a really good time, and it's a first NHL game I will never forget.
I mean, he's on face or like hockey memes on Facebook now. He's got TikToks made about him, and all because of Jonathan Quick and the NHL. Like, we're an AHL podcast. We're supposed to go viral about AHL stuff, but just kind of looking back at the game real quick, still 0-0, about 15:38 as play goes on. It looks like Cleveland's got 3 shots against Wilkes-Barre Scranton's 4, tied at 0. But guys, that wasn't all the news associated with goaltenders yesterday. And yesterday, it was good to be in the Central Division. And you know what? I'm going to let Andrew take the lead on this because this is his beat.
Yeah, this is my beat, and this has been a guy I've been raving about for over a year. I mean, I had a little bit of chat with him back in January. We even talked about what would happen if this did happen. Well, last night against the Manitoba Moose in their own barn, nonetheless, Pyotr Kochakov had the puck and an empty net, and he did the most Pyotr Kochakov thing that he could possibly do, and he sent it and scored. Look at the celebration. I mean, how could you not love this guy? He brings the kind of passion in that I've never really ever seen before. It's quite a marvel to watch and to cover on a nightly basis. I also don't know the whole strategy of dumping the puck in with no forecheck, even with an extra attacker. We got to talk about that, Manitoba, but it's not about the Moose. It's about Kochakov's incredible accomplishment, and he had himself an absolute night. Another win to push the Wolves even closer to the playoffs. I mean, and that's going to be a moment that young kid's never going to forget in a career that's just nothing but full of bright moments already, let alone what he's got ahead of him. And do you want to talk about that?
Well, Wilkes-Barre Scranton breaking it. Number 41, who unfortunately Zach's got our notes here. So, yeah, sorry guys, first time kind of doing this play-by-play here, but number 41 for Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and it's not even on our show notes. Let's just talk about a late edition there, making that goal. Yeah, but kind of going back to Pyotr Kochetkov here, and we'll bring this video back up here, but that wasn't it for him yesterday.
No, because as anyone who knows Kochetkov knows that he likes to get a little feisty. He didn't even start this one. Puck comes in his crease, and it's Manitoba's captain of all guys that starts going after Kochetkov when he's down on the ice, because I assume that the Moose got all up in their feelings about the young goaltender from Russia celebrating. I guess you're not supposed to be excited when you score a goalie goal. So that caused a whole ruckus up, and he brought it. But of all things, Kochetkov gets kicked out of the game for it. Now, it's probably just the referees trying to make sure there's no other shenanigans going on in the rest of the game. But it was still just kind of a strange turn of events. And it all happened because a guy who's supposed to be a leader on your team ends up just not being able to have a little fun in the game. I'm sorry that you're losing 4-1, but what is this? You're going after the goalie, and the refs are jumping on top of the goalie. He's still got a handful of Kochetkov's jersey, so I didn't really understand that. But the game ended without any other incidents, and it's all set in the stage for a big kind of grudge match type event on Sunday. So we'll have to see if the Wolves go back to Kochetkov or if they bring in the backup.
2 minutes.
I wasn't expecting that. Okay, well, if you didn't catch that, Cleveland's on the power play.
I think they just kind of potted that one to everybody. But if you were wondering a little bit about that goal, that was actually Peter Dilbertor's first goal. I probably butchered that. His first goal was a Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguin because he just got traded from Henderson. So it's his first game. He scored on his first goal, and he's off to a roaring start, if you ask me. The last time that he scored a goal, not this season. Not this season. So there you go. First goal of the season.
Talk about turning the page and making an impression with your new team. I like it.
Well, Cleveland about to go on the power play, and they have had some issues as of late, and we are currently enjoying here Tux and Sully. Tux looks to have made a little mini Tux of him snowman. Oh, the Zamboni eyes. But Jack St. Ivany actually being sent to the penalty box, kneeing for a 2-minute penalty. And actually, we caught up with Jack before the show. So we're just going to go ahead and play that interview right here. We were hoping maybe we brought him up for something good, but we'll go ahead and give you this interview from Jack that we did way back this morning at, what was it, around like 11 o'clock, guys? It was a little bit earlier. So here's that interview.
The moment that you found out that you were going to be playing an AHL game outdoors.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. Anytime you get to play one of these games, it's a privilege. Usually there's only like one a year, so to be one of the teams playing it, it's a really special day for us.
And of all the years for you to do it, it's having in your rookie year. How's the transition been for you here in the pro game?
It's been awesome. Yeah, it's a really good team this year. A lot of good mix of young and old guys. So for me, it's just been a pretty smooth transition, and I've been enjoying the whole year.
Growing up in California, I guess playing outside on even so much of a
All right, so sorry about that. Looks like we're having a few issues with the video rendering here, but we're just going to go ahead and bring this up here, and we'll have that here in just a second for you. Sorry, once again, this is our first time kind of doing this live out here like this, so hopefully we will have this to you here in just 1 second. We're kind of sharing, so just be one
And
second.
talking a little bit more about Peter while we get that pulled up for you, this is a guy who hasn't played since February 19th. So things have kind of been a little bit of a whirlwind for him, I guess, and we're going to play that interview.
A little bit about the moment that you found out that you were going to be playing an AHL game outdoors.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. Anytime you get to play one of these games, it's a privilege. Usually there's only like one a year, so to be one of the teams playing it, it's a really special day for us.
And of all the years for you to do it, it's having your rookie year. How's the transition been for you here in the pro game?
It's been awesome. Yeah, it's a really good team this year. A lot of good mix of young and old guys. So for me, it's just been a pretty smooth transition, and I've been enjoying the whole year.
Growing up in California, I guess playing outside on even so much of a frozen pond would kind of be out of the question, eh?
Yeah, pretty much the closest thing I got to this is just playing out back in the street with some sticks, but no, certainly nothing close to this.
Yeah, you in the Atlantic, it kind of seems like you're playing the same 3-4 teams every day, every other week. But you got a team here in the North, and in this marquee game, how does it feel to kind of get out of that car crash in the standings and get into something different?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's nice for us to see a different opponent. Obviously, we've seen a lot of the same 3-4 teams here in the last little bit. But for us, every game down the stretch is massive for us to make a playoff spot. So we're going to really come in today and make sure that we get the win.
Has the coach kind of emphasized what 2 points actually means for this game, or even coming into March?
We just kind of take it day by day and game by game. So, the mindset today is just get the win, and whatever we have to do.
And we are back here live from Cleveland. So just a moment ago, we had some ice repairs going on. And I guess that's one of the kinks of trying to get things worked out with the All-Star Classic. Of course, this is the first one in 4 years. There's 5 years, actually. There's one scheduled in 2021 that didn't pan out. But yeah, they're just trying to get some things sorted out with the ice. And of course, everything is back underway again. But, we made it through the first 8 minutes, and this is our first one. And we'll have to see how things kind of work out later on. But yeah.
So one way we can tell that this ice is much better is Trafix Wolanski actually just snowed Dustin Tokarski. So we know that that ice is solid. Earlier, one of the other members up here in the press box said that one of the earlier when we tried to get this going at 12:30 or so, one of the Penguins tried to snow their goalie, and it ended up being more of a shower than a snow. So yeah, this ice definitely back to it. Just a quick update. 12:20 remaining in the first period. Wilkes-Barre Scranton up 1-0, and they are currently on the kill. Cleveland's power play is out there, and they're getting bolstered here. With Carson Meyer coming back, and now you got both Jake Christensen and David Juracek on this power play here. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and get back to talking about that goalie coverage, and on top of everything, yesterday in the American Hockey League, there was a goalie fight in the Central Division.
Yeah, because as if there wasn't enough goalie craziness going on. And I really believe that this all started with the Jonathan Quick jersey and Zack's physical manifestation on this plane of reality finally coming to fruition. So, big game out there in Texas between the top two teams in the Central. You get two teams jockeying for position, tempers boiling over, and goalie fights. I mean, everyone loves a good goalie fight, and the only way that a goalie fight could possibly be upstaged is by a goalie goal, and we had those literally about 5 minutes in between each other. Look at that. I mean, they just had a nice, good old-fashioned center ice scrum, and then just out of the corner, you start seeing the more bodies flying in, and Remy Poirier and Yaroslav Askarov just decide that, hey, it's about time that they settle apparently an old score, and they, get the nice dance off at center ice. And I love the little shimmy from Askarov, but unfortunately, he doesn't really do so hot. You see Poirier gets the takedown on him after a couple of swings. It's, again, who doesn't love to see that? This is why I hate seeing goalies kind of start to creep towards each other and the refs start to break them up. Like, there's no one in the history of hockey that ever said, I really didn't want to see those two goalies going at it. So I'm glad they let it happen. And it's juicing up a nice race for the Central as we come down to the edge here with just about 20 games left in the regular season. So I'm excited for it. I really want to see how the Admirals kind of respond, seeing not only just getting blown out by the number one team in the division, but seeing your young rookie goalie kind of get pumped there. I think this team's going to have to turn around and respond in a big way.
And the power play just concluded for Cleveland, and it was hard. It was difficult. I'm not sure what else we can really say here, but we invite you to join the conversation. If you're watching us on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, please, comment there, ask us any questions you have about the outdoor game or about the American Hockey League or in general. If you're on Twitter, go ahead and tweet us at the Holy GrAHL. As always, it's GRAHL. And guys, I think it's about time that we talk about and this is going to be a little bit of a lighthearted one, but our AHL elite prospect of the week. Now, our elite prospect of the week comes to you courtesy of our exclusive partner, Elite Prospects, the world's leading hockey resource for league, team, and player data. Of course, you can check them out over at eliteprospects.com. Of course, every week on the Holy GrAHL, we award the AHL Elite Prospect of the Week right here on our podcast, whether it's on ice play, some type of other achievement, or something else that made them stand out. This is our pick for the top player in the last week in AHL hockey. And guys, I was really thinking about giving this to Una Lowoto because he had such a hysterical reaction to the ice a little bit earlier on, which we will talk about because he's going to kind of be our runner-up. But honestly, we have to give this one to Brett Gallant from the Cleveland Monsters this week. With this game here tonight that he is currently skating in, the winter, or I keep wanting to say Winter Classic, but the AHL Outdoor Classic, he now becomes tied with Justin Scott for the most games played in Cleveland Monsters franchise history. So tied for it right now. Next game he plays, he becomes the true Mr. Monster. But I think Andrew would be a good one to tell you about whenever we were checking out the ice a little bit earlier and Una Lowoto's reaction. It was quite good.
It was his comedic timing is unlike any I've ever seen. So when they started taking the tarp off, we decided to go down to ice level on the field and take a look at just how well it was looking. And at first, it wasn't great, but there was still almost 2 hours to go for the ice to freeze and for them to clean it up. So, they made a good recovery of it. But Lowoto kind of came around, 10 feet to our right, took one peek over, just went, and turned around and just went, nope. and for a second, I thought that this game wasn't getting done. But again, like I said, credit to the ice crew. They really made it happen. And I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised to find Lowoto in some kind of comedy film in the near future once his hockey career is done, because again, the comedic timing is just on point.
That's like the great thing I've noticed with a lot of these Finnish players is they have this kind of dry sense of humor, but their comedic timing is perfect. But we do have a question from our YouTube channel. Ryden and On wants to know, what percentage of fans do we think returned for the later than anticipated start? And was there an attendance announced for the original crowd size? So I will say that as the game has gone on here, we're a little over halfway through the first period, there have been more fans just kind of sprinkling on in. Definitely a smaller crowd than was here earlier, but it's more than I anticipated. I mean, honestly,
30%.
yeah, you think 30? I was thinking at least half, but you are asking the wrong person when it comes to numbers. I am terrible at numbers, but
I will say, compared to what it was, I think in say 3 o'clock, I would say that there was maybe a dozen people sitting in the stands. Right, a lot of people found refuge somewhere inside the arena to get warm. Maybe 40. I think 40 would be my final answer. It's definitely not what it was, and there was actually a pretty good crowd. I think we kind of talked to some Monster staff a little bit before the game, and they mentioned that this has the opportunity to get like the third largest crowd in history and in AHL history. And I think that could have been possible. Like it very easily could have, but unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. I do actually have the record attendance for an outdoor game was in 2012 in a game between Hershey and Lehigh Valley, I believe, and that was 45,653. Definitely not that here. How many are here is a great guess at this current moment.
and as of right now, they haven't announced any attendance size. Normally that comes out right around the third-ish period. So whenever that number does come out, it's going to be the tickets that were sold. It's not going to be however many people were here, let's say at 1 o'clock when the puck was originally supposed to drop, or the people that are currently sitting in their seats at 6:32 Eastern time. But great question. If you have any more, feel free to comment on our Facebook or YouTube feeds, or if you're a Twitter user, you can also get in touch with us at the Holy GrAHL. Again, GrAHL. And checking back in, we're actually going to be talking about some AHL impacted trades here shortly. But 7:40, we got a little bit of stoppage in play here. So 7:40 remaining in the first period. Wilkes-Barre Scranton up 1-0. They also lead in shots.
Cleveland number 22, minor penalty.
And yeah, so that's nothing that I'm going to get used to in the next few hours. So anytime the official talks, we just get this loud blaring up here in the press area. So yeah, Cleveland going to the box. Wilkes-Barre Scranton getting a chance on the power play.
Wilkes-Barre's power play on the year is running at about 20% compared to about the 22% of Cleveland. And this is a really good opportunity for some insurance goals. And, the obviously we all know about some of the impacts of kind of getting that insurance goal. And I truly do think that if they do get that insurance goal, they'll be able to hold on to that lead. Dustin Tokarski has been a pretty solid goaltender for them. As we know, he was the 2019 Calder Cup champion. He was the October goaltender of the month. He's running at about a 2.45 goals against average and a 918 save percentage on the year. And I personally watched him play in St. John's. I've told the story many a times on the podcast, but he was the Ice Caps legend at the time, I guess. But you know what? He's improved with strides. I really do believe, and he has the opportunity to get Wilkes-Barre out of this slump.
So now we are going to go ahead and take a look at our news recap. And of course, with the NHL trade deadline just yesterday, there were a lot of moves. But another thing also to note is it's come to that time of the season where NHL clubs are able to start signing entry-level contracts, and we actually had a few of them. So Washington definitely jumping in on this, signing Ethan Frank. So of course that he was their all-star representative, and now the fastest skater in the American Hockey League, getting a contract along with Ryan Hofer, and Detroit also making a few moves. But I'll pass it over to Andrew for that one.
Yeah, starting off, we got a couple contracts signed. Alex Chason signed to a one-year deal. He had been under contract with the Griffins. Real big veteran presence on that team, huge on the power play for him. Obviously, a long-time NHL vet with over 600 games played. So, love seeing him coming up and hopefully making some contributions to a Red Wing club that, well, has kind of stumbled in down the stretch here lately. And also, John Lethaman signed to a one-year deal by the Red Wings. Recently actually making his debut for the Grand Rapids Griffins tonight. So congratulations to both of those guys. And yeah, it's how many careers have you seen springed on by some of these one-year deals? Obviously, Chason's a little more longer in the career than Lethaman, but the sky's the limit for him, and maybe Chason can kind of parlay that into another NHL deal next year.
All right, and we actually have a fight going on right now. It look, yeah, a pretty decent fight. Oh, and the Monsters player is down on the ice. So we have Nathan Legare, and who was that for the Monsters? It looks like maybe. Oh yeah, Roman Ashawn. No surprise there. He's definitely one of the ones to step up for his team, and he noticed like this wasn't ideal the way that this was going right now. The Monsters really needed to get going. They're right there in the shots, but just
Wilkes-Barre number 34.
Okay, so that's big right there for the Monsters. So Wilkes-Barre actually going off they're getting a 10 for instigating, and of course that 5 for fighting, and then Roman Ashawn getting the 5 for fighting as well. So going right back onto the trades. And actually, while we're talking about the Monsters, I'm just going to go ahead and run down some moves that they have made. So the Monsters actually acquired forward Alex Whalen for future considerations, acquiring goaltender John Gillies in a trade between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Arizona Coyotes in that Jakub Voracek trade. Now, he was playing in Tucson, not currently in Cleveland yet, because it is being reported that John Gillies is driving from Tucson, Arizona, all the way to Cleveland, Ohio. Talk about a long road trip. And then also, while we're talking about Wilkes-Barre Scranton here, Justin Adamo has been signed to a PTO by Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And guys, just something really special here. They are currently showing a tribute to Brett Gallant, currently showing the clip from earlier this season where he took the helmet off of one of I believe that was the Texas Stars game, and threw the opposing player's helmet into the crowd. So, of course, once again, Brett Gallant setting a franchise tying a franchise record for most games played. But we're going to go ahead back into these trades here. And next
Can I
up,
make a quick point about Brett Gallant too? I mean, when we kind of talk about him being in the AHL, he's really been a staple throughout. He made his AHL debut in 2010 rather, and since then has I played on a couple of teams, but in Cleveland in particular, he's running into now year 6. He started on that team in 2017. So often as players, we kind of uh, they have to act as such a leadership piece. And with the AHL just getting younger and faster, and I emphasize younger very much in this, when you have that kind of veteran presence, it goes a long way. And having someone like Brett Gallant who's able to be a rock for your team, it really brings wonders. And I really do believe that Brett Gallant, great tribute to him. He's got 4 goals on the season. He hasn't got an assist yet, but he'll be looking to get another one here for sure.
so the official number for Brett Gallant, 300 games as a Cleveland Monster. They don't make them quite like him anymore for sure. But yeah, once again, going and looking back, I mean, Cleveland, again, back on this power play here. So let's see if they can't set something up. But Rocco Grimaldi on the move. And then that's a Central Division impacted trade.
Sorry, I got to get set up here so you all aren't hearing any feedback. But yeah, Rocco Grimaldi on the move to Rockford for future considerations. Now, I believe those considerations involved Chicago trading Dylan Sakura to Anaheim. So the AHL clubs kind of make a deal in exchange for that. But I mean, this is huge for the Ice Hogs. We already know that the Chicago also acquired Anton Hudobin, who's going to be heading up the net down there in Rockford, and they get another big piece like Grimaldi, who's a top. I mean, he's been a top point scorer in this league for I don't know how many years, and it's down the stretch. That's someone that the Ice Hogs are going to be relying on to kind of carry them through what's kind of starting to look like a gauntlet in that Central Division. We got another one.
And that one is actually shorthanded. So the Monsters down 2-0. And just trying to take a look here. Unfortunately, it's a little bit
It's
hard to
Roman
see.
Ansons who will get credit for that goal, and Ravis Jansen, my bad, Riga Latvia native. And when we talk so much about him, he's got his first goal which came on the 1st of January of this year against Hershey, and he's been a critical piece to this lineup since, and especially the developmental system. So a goal from him, and I think it's now a 2-0 lead. I talked a little bit about that insurance goal lead and how good that can be for any one team.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate start here for the Cleveland Monsters. They really just kind of get something going back together here. And this has just been, like, you can just definitely tell this long delay has been really rough on them. And we're going to go ahead. We have a few others, at least in my mind, a few theories as to why, each team is playing like they are. But we're going to go ahead and talk about, again, Rockford Ice Hogs making some additional moves here with Zack Jordan in play.
Yeah, the Piggies are making some moves. I wish they'd make a move for a new mascot, but otherwise, yeah, the Ice Hogs acquired Zack Jordan from the Hartford Wolfpack in exchange for defenseman Adam Clendenning. He's been there for a while over there in Rockford. Normally a big piece to rely on, but yeah, he's another guy on the move. And Jordan's actually going to be reporting to the ECHL, so it's just kind of making more space in there for other players to come in and contribute. Spoken earlier about Dylan Sakura moving from the Chicago to the Anaheim organization. He's going to be down there in San Diego. And so a lot of moving pieces moving out of there for Rockford, but I really like kind of what they're building towards, as Chicago really wants to get these guys a lengthy run in the postseason to give them some experience, because I tell you what, they're not going to be seeing it in Chicago for quite a minute, so you might as well get it in Rockford while you can.
And then some other AHL trades here. You have the Los Angeles Kings organization acquiring Nate Schnarr from Montreal in exchange for Frederick Allard. Manitoba Moose trading forward Colin Bilek to the Rockford Ice Hogs again. Future considerations, always on the move. Philadelphia, Isaac Ratliff to the Nashville Predators. Again, future considerations. How many times are we going to hear that? And then Stars acquiring forward Scott Reedy in exchange for Jacob Peterson. So about 2.5 minutes left here in the first period of the AHL Outdoor Classic.
Let's talk a little bit about Reedy for a moment. So I talked about him a little last year, and last year was really kind of in my opinion, his was career year to date. In last year, splitting between both the NHL and AHL, AHL 18 goals, 9 assists, 27 points through 38 games. He hasn't really had that success so far on San Jose, and I really do think that this kid has a lot to offer, and I think Texas is going to be lucky to have him, because I think that he's going to get out of this kind of slump that he's in, and I'm confident that he's going to return back to his form last year. He's only scored 13 points, 5 goals, 8 assists through 38 games, so it's not really the pace that he's wanted. It's about half of what he did last year up to this time, so I think that he'll fit in well on the Texas team. So, as we alluded to a little bit earlier, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins have taken this 2-goal lead. There's just over a minute left to go in the first period. I wanted to give you some stats on 2-goal games for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton. They actually have a losing record when they have a 2-goal lead. They're actually 4-9 right now when they have a 2-goal lead. When they're leading after the first period, though, which is completely the opposite, they have a 10-6-2 record. So these stats, courtesy of the American Hockey League and our friends at Elite Prospects as well, kind of giving us that. I'm just reading off the paper here. I really do apologize. As for Cleveland, you might have been wondering what happens when they are trailing after the first period. Well, it's not that good. They have a 6-16-1 record when trailing after the first period. So, as for what kind of happens, I don't know. Cleveland at home after trailing at 1 is 2-6-1.
Cleveland number 5, minor penalty boarding.
Thank you for interrupting.
Wilkes-Barre number 52,
keep going,
minor penalty embellishment.
Oh.
I might have embellished on that a little bit. He's okay to interrupt. Yeah, I guess. For a little bit of context, we're sitting up in a broadcast booth, and they have the audio right above us.
How do you embellish a board?
That's a really good question. Maybe he just stayed down there for a little bit too long. I don't know. It's not often that you see that type of embellishment called. Normally it's off a trip or something.
Did he dive into the boards or something? Like, hey, 2 minutes is 2 minutes. Sit and think about what you did.
I mean, at least it's 4-on-4, so it's not like either team's going a man down. They're just going to open up the ice a little bit, and it's just, I think the Monsters are going to be so happy to get the last 54.7 seconds of this first period done and out of the books, because it's been a bit of a rough one here. So we're going to see what they're going to do here on this 4-on-4. Again, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins up 2-0. And actually, this might be a good time to take another fan question. This one, guys, my husband always has to chip in, of course. And he tweeted us at the Holy GrAHL, what do the Monsters need to do to claw back into this one? The Penguins seem to be better adjusted following the delay. I do know that the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins actually went back to their team hotel and actually had a nice meal here. So their team chef, who actually was Zack's in our group chat here saying, well, score goals, obviously. But Wilkes-Barre Scranton went back to the team hotel. This is their dad's weekend trip. So, of course, they got their dads there to spend a little bit of time with. Possibly went back, took a little bit of a nap, but they also had a nice meal there. Again, their team chef is actually here as a fan, but he stepped up, somehow managed to put together a nice spread for the Penguins. So who knows, maybe it's that cold cut magic kind of working in their favor here.
It was a cold cut charcuterie board by the sounds of it. The way it was described to the Holy GrAHL, it was a cold cut charcuterie board. Well, it was more like sandwiches, but I think, spice it up and make it sound like it was a charcuterie board. A cold cut sandwich bar. You see, I think we could spice that up a little bit and call it a charcuterie board. Same?
See, you're talking about capicola, salami, provolone. You're speaking right to my Italian heart right there.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded to be part of that. Like, a nice meal. And I mean, but honestly, kudos to their team chef. Like, he's not even here working. He came here just to watch the game as a literal fan. And this guy stepping up and making it happen for his team. It's kind of, and we can kind of go on that tangent a little bit. But honestly, what do the Monsters need to do to get back into this one? Score some goals. And it's such a cliche hockey answer, but they just need to get Zack kills me every time in these in this group chat, but honestly they just got to get cleaner, and there's zero energy. So I think it would really help if the Cleveland fans that are in attendance could cheer a little bit louder, get behind their guys a little bit. And I think also there really wasn't a dry scrape or anything after that first period, so they go out to ice that's a little choppy, kind of snow covered. So hopefully maybe after this nice flood here in the first intermission, that might work in their favor maybe.
And I think it's important to realize too that this is not the first outdoor event here. There's actually been quite a number of them. So yeah, this ice has definitely taken a beating. The rain yesterday, the sun today. It's seen its a fair share.
Well, now this is special here. If you um, are not watching this game, turn and you are a Cleveland fan, turn on AHL TV right now, because the Mullet brothers are here. They have been away for multiple seasons. They are always a fan favorite here, and now the Mullet brothers just taking a nice spin around the rink here, and we're just gonna go over. Oh, we got one of them blowing kisses to the crowd. I mean, these guys are always such a huge treat. But Zach's going to go over standings just a little bit. And then after that, we're going to just kind of talk a little bit about how our day has been going here during this lengthy delay and intermission.
Yeah, it's actually been a pretty good couple of weeks with the standings. We've seen lots of changes, which makes it always kind of exciting. We'll start things off in the Atlantic Division, where our Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, who are on the ice tonight, are playing. Hershey's still leading that, and they've won their past two games heading into today. So that's a really big critical piece. I know that they're playing this afternoon, this evening. Can't think of who they're playing, but they came up big yet last night with a win against the Toronto Marlies. Providence Bruins are slightly behind. They're about 3 points back and a game back. So they have an opportunity of getting within one here in the next little bit. Their 31, 12, and 8-2 record has really helped them with that as well. Charlotte coming down with a 6-3 record. 6-3-1 record through their past 10 has gotten them in that third place spot. The car crash that we kind of talked a little bit about before has kind of moved itself down towards the bottom, and I'll tell you about that now. So that starts with Springfield sitting at about 60 points. It's very important to understand that Lehigh Valley is just behind them at 58, and there's two teams that are tied at 56 points apiece. And that's the Bridgeport Islanders and the Hartford Wolfpack, who are both tied with 56 points. Hartford coming in with 6 wins to their past 10 games. They've actually had points in their last 5 straight games. So it's really kind of aided them to kind of get to where they are now. And they do have an opportunity to, both Bridgeport and Hartford have an opportunity to tie Lehigh Valley with points in their respective games that they have on them. Wilkes-Barre Scranton sitting in that 8th spot, 8 of 8. Their last 10 is 2, 5, 1, and 2. They've lost the last 3 straight, of course. As I mentioned a little bit before, the road record, they are technically the road team for this evening's game. 11, 12, and 4 while sitting on the road. If we have no objections, I can go over the the North Division as well.
Go right on ahead.
Yeah,
Brent.
I've been told to go right ahead. And you know what? It's still good times for the Toronto Marlies. They're running at about a 70% win rate right now, and I got to pump their tires a little bit because I don't get the chance to do it all that often on the podcast. 77 points. That's good for a 16-point lead. So again, the stark difference between first and second here. There's 16 points in the North, just 3 points in the Atlantic, 3 points in the Central, and 1 point in the Pacific Division. So the North Division is kind of just cool. But there's a little bit of clustering going on, and that's in the 2 through 4 section, and even down into the 5. So Syracuse is the number 2 on that list, and they are 27, 19, 4, and 3 through their 53 games so far this year. 61 points for them. Sitting at the number 3 spot rather is Utica with 60 points. so far on the year. It's kind of been a little bit of a tough stretch for them as of late, Utica. As you might have noticed or remembered, they were actually in that number two spot for quite some time, and their 4-5-1 record through the past 10 hasn't really helped that. Now they've gotten points in their past four straight, which is some good news for them and good news for Utica fans, as I'm sure that they've been waiting for that stretch. It was a tough one, right? Um, Going down just below them with 3 points behind is Rochester. Now they have two games on. They have two more less games, rather, I should say, than Utica. So they do have a chance to kind of get ahead on that side of the standings a little bit. And going down the list again, it's Laval sitting at 55 points, Belleville at 51, and Cleveland, who's playing here this afternoon. They've lost the last four straight games. Things haven't really been so great for them. But they do have an opportunity to get some points. Yeah, I know we're not doing this. That's Deana with the controls, by the way. I think it's very important to clarify that. No beat bias intended. But yeah, so Cleveland right now sitting at a record of 22, 24, 4, and two shootout losses for them. The points percentage is at about 0.481. I may as well keep going. We'll continue on with the Central Division. Texas is actually leading that one. We talked a little bit about their heated battle uh, last night with the fight. And thanks to that win, they've now won the last two straight games. Their home record 15, 7, 1, and 2. Absolutely stunning. They've won 6 out of their past 10 games heading into this. Into Saturday, of course. Their win loss record 30, 13, 7, and 3. Good for 70 points. As I mentioned a little bit before, that's about a 3 point difference. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you here. Milwaukee and Manitoba kind of sitting in that middle spot. This division, I will say, is a lot more spread out a little bit than the other ones, and I'm sure Andrews will kind of talk about it a little bit later. But there's a little bit of a difference. To me, it feels like the most normal division. You have your people who are on bottom, you have your people who are on top, and everybody's just kind of staggered around. Fourth place is Rockford. You know, kind of a tough season for them, right? I just feel like sometimes things just don't go their way. They've lost the last three straight. They've only won 3 in their past 10 games. Things are just tough in Illinois, I guess. Iowa sitting at that fifth place spot at 57 points, 53 points for Chicago, and 49 points for Grand Rapids. And I mean, what more can we possibly say about Grand Rapids? As Andrew kind of wipes his face a little bit in disgust. It's poor guy. So I'll go up and down those one more time because I did throw a lot of numbers at you. Texas, Milwaukee, Manitoba, Rockford, Iowa, Chicago, and Grand Rapids, all rounding out that Central Division. I really do like Texas as a nice playoff pick. I'll get into that maybe a little later, maybe some other time. As I go down to my favorite division, that's the Pacific Division, and I got to say it's a really an exciting division to watch, but because things have kind of shifted a little bit. No one's really on that hot streak like we're normally used to seeing when we talk about the Pacific Division. So often I'll come out and I'll say, Calgary's just doing absolutely fantastic. Can you believe them? Or Coachella Valley's doing absolutely fantastic. Can you believe them? Well, they're not really doing that great. They still have that point lead because of the work that they did earlier on in the season. But the Calgary and Coachella Valley have both split their past 10 games, 5 wins, 5 losses, respectively. And I think that's a very important stat to kind of remember when we talk about going down the stretch. There's obviously no problems for playoffs, in my opinion. I think they're going to make it, no problem. But, to not see them perform at a 70% or, both those teams are holding records of Coachella Valley has the best points percentage in the Pacific Division in the league, I should say, at .745. So they win 74% of their games. So when I say that they're splitting right now, that to me is like, whoo, what is going on here? Podorowski is playing a big factor in that, I would have to say. And you know what? Calgary, kind of the same way. They got that 0.7, so they do have a couple of games in hand. So I believe that Coachella Valley will take them over eventually, but for now, it's the two of them. 77 points for Calgary, 76 for Coachella Valley. Coachella Valley having played 4 less games. Abbotsford's in that third place spot. They're tied with Colorado with 66 points. Both those teams pretty well splitting their past 10 games as well. 5 wins, 5 losses, 4 wins, 6 losses. Kind of one and the same, I guess. Then we go down to Tucson, and this is where we kind of see the second cliff. So I think it's a 2-cliff system. Between Tucson and Ontario, there's a bit of a starking difference in 11 points. That's pretty well the same difference between the third and second spot. So Tucson sitting down there with a 24, 26, 5-0 record through their 55 games played. Bakersfield just nearby with them as well. Also close by is San Jose, who's kind of went 4-4-2 in their past 10 games. Then there's our old friends down at the bottom who actually haven't been doing so bad. Michael Hutchinson leaving the team was maybe a good omen for Henderson. They've won the past 5 straight games, and they actually have the longest streak right now in the American Hockey League. So you know what? You got to give credit where credit is due. Henderson, there's something in the water there. Things are going mighty good for them, which I'm happy to see, and no complaints from me. San Diego, I won't rip on them any more than I have this season, besides giving you their win-loss record, which is 16, 39, and 1. That's good for 33 points and just about 44 points beyond first place. So that just about rounds up those 4 divisions, 32 teams. It's an exciting one. If you're going by league standings, Calgary's at the top with 77, tied with Toronto. If you're going at the bottom, it's Henderson and San Diego.
Well, thank you for that very inclusive recap. It's like he talked about doing standings, and it's like he's going all the way for it. Like, you know what, Brad? If you want to do the thing, do the thing. So actually, just kind of as we get set for the players to come back out here, we talked about Brett Gallant getting this huge milestone. And actually, you know, we had a chance to chat with him a little bit earlier on before the game. So this was pregame, like literal first pregame. So I'm going to go ahead and cue up that video here, and you can kind of hear about what this game means for him and kind of where the Monsters are. So it'll be just one quick second and we'll get that up for you. First of all, I just want to say congratulations, because today's going to be a franchise tying record for you for most as a Monster. Just doing it at this kind of level, you know, we're at this outdoor game, this big marquee event. What does it mean to you to get that record and also to do it in front of probably one of the largest crowds in the AHL here?
Yeah, I found out yesterday. Tony told me. Obviously, it's exciting. I'm honored. I'm fortunate enough to play in Cleveland with the great fans we have in the great city. Just a game like today, the outdoor games makes it more special.
All right, and then of course have, you know, outdoor game here. Have you ever done anything even remotely close to this in your career, or even just as a kid?
As a kid, we played outdoors, but like nothing close to this. And I mean, I played the game a long time, and pretty excited for it, to tell you the truth.
And then just kind of, we're coming into this last month and a half of the season. Just kind of, what are your feelings? You're getting a few new faces onto the team, a few faces that came in the last game, you know, and Chinikov and Meyer that you guys haven't seen in a while. Just what's the dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, the AHL all years a revolving door between the East Coast and the NHL, so you get different lineups. I mean, for our group, whatever group we play, put on the ice, we're trying to make the playoffs and get into a playoff spot.
And then just general feelings, last feelings about this outdoor game and all the fans who are already out tailgating, having a good time, getting ready to come into First Energy Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. I think we got the best friends in the league. I mean, we showed attendance-wise. I don't know what the numbers are going to be like tonight, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I hope they do too.
And then Mark Letestu has been in a few outdoor games. He's your guys' assistant coach. Has he passed on any words of wisdom to you?
We're fortunate. We have 3 great coaches, 4 or 5 of them, and they're always talking to us, and they're great with us in the room.
All right, that's all. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
What a beauty.
And yeah, once again, that was Brett Gallant, the new Mr. Monster, as he ties with this game Justin Scott for the most games played as a Cleveland Monster with 300. So we're going to go ahead and move on to one of my favorite segments of the show, the swipe left and swipe right segment. And like usual, this honestly has been such a long day. Like, I know I've been up and kind of moving around for over 12 hours now, and it's but we're gonna heat this up just a little bit, and we're gonna talk about some goaltenders, we're gonna talk about ice, and I don't even know what Zack even has in his pocket for his swipe, but let's just go ahead and make it easy on us. Alphabetical order. Andrew, what are you serving up?
Well, I kind of want to dial the clock back. I want to say this was maybe a month and a half or so ago, and I brought up Jesper Wallstedt, Yaroslav Askarov, Pyotr Kochekov, Sebastian Kosa was there for a hot minute, and I said that I did say earlier this month that the Central Division was the place to be for the goalies, right? I'm just gonna say, here's your chance for you guys to right swipe it on it again after all the stuff that went down last night. I'm not saying I told you so, but I'm kind of saying I told you so. I did tell him so.
I hate when he's right. I really hate when he's right. But just really quick here, of course, we're doing the last minute or the last 32 seconds now of that 4-on-4 play here with both players going to the box. Of course, you had Cleveland going for boarding, then Wilkes-Barre Scranton going for embellishment. But just a quick recap here: Wilkes-Barre Scranton 2, Cleveland nothing. Cleveland getting close. I saw some sticks up in the air, but Tokarski keeping the puck out of his net. But Andrew, I mean, honestly, last episode, I gave you a super swipe up. I'm going to have to do it again because it is, if you want goaltending magic, the Central Division is where you got to go. I mean, like, even just thinking back to the, Jesper Wallstedt at the All-Star game, and just, I mean, not only in just their skill, but their personality, just everything associated with these goaltenders in the Central Division, it's like magical.
I didn't even bring up the fact that there's been 2 goalie goals in the Central Division, Wallstedt and Kochekov. So, like, if the feistiness and the fights aren't enough, and the goals aren't enough, and the talent's not enough, and the personality's not enough, I don't even know what to say anymore.
Really? You don't know what to say about goaltenders? I mean, I thought you could talk all day about those.
You know what? I'll kind of go for it. I do like some of the goaltenders in the Pacific. I think that there's a couple good ones. Dustin Wolf is kind of my league MVP right now. But when you talk about overall as a division, Corey probably doesn't agree with me, but I do think that the Central Division, I think he'd probably make a pretty strong case for the Atlantic Division, especially goaltending in Hershey, which has been pretty good. Dustin Tokarski has been very good on this Wilkes-Barre Scranton squad. But you know what? I think that there's a lot of good prospects in the Central Division.
I mean, I do feel that it's like we've talked so much about these goaltenders in the Central Division that at this point it truly is, what can we say that hasn't been said? Like Pyotr Goat in so many ways. And Andrew just sitting there like, yeah, but did you actually give your swipe on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, let me tell you this. This has been the longest day. And now I'm just sitting here like, I know I'm drinking coffee, but it's not cutting it anymore. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll just say Pyotr Goat. I love that man and everything he brings to the ice, from his personality to his play. And I can never not super swipe a goalie goal. So I am going to just kind of talk real quick. And my super swipe, I guess, I was kind of going to talk about in hot and not and make fun about the sun. But I guess my take here would be whoever schedules these games, and I understand that they had to kind of schedule this game a little bit earlier because the Cleveland Cavaliers playing at home tonight. So they share some of the same staff, so they needed to get this game done earlier. But no longer should we be scheduling outdoor games in the middle of the day. This needs to be a sunset start every time.
I mean, the vibes under the lights are immaculate. I think it does so much more for the atmosphere of the game. I mean, it's weather is hard to predict, but I think that, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think we got this whole sun thing down pretty accurately by this point, so we can at least give ourselves a fighting chance. And then if there's any rain or whatever that's in the forecast later on during the evening, then you're just gonna have to take your chances, because like I understand that you have it earlier in the day and then you can delay it to later in the evening. You still have the game going on today, but look at the capacity out there. There were so many more fans early in the day, and if you have this scheduled later at night, you can have everyone else schedule their day later in the night. So I'm 100% going to swipe right on this. Today has convinced me that like the night game's just the way to go. It's better than football and it's better than hockey.
I will swipe left on this, and I will swipe left for a couple of reasons. The first reason for me is basically because I think about the fans. The American Hockey League is such a family friendly league. Tickets are mostly always affordable, right? There's always a lot of kids in the fans. I find a lot more than the NHL. And a big part of this game here today was bringing out the kids to this game. This is an opportunity for families to be able to go out to an outdoor game at an affordable price. And, overhearing some conversations walking throughout the concourse because of the sun delay, there's just kids who just couldn't make it back, right? Because it started so late. You know what? I will say I like the vibe better underneath the the lights a lot better. I will say, but completely abolishing the idea. I think that the ice has been through a lot in the past couple of weeks, and and the grounds crew has worked very hard to maintain this ice. But the problem is like we had so much rain yesterday, and God knows what kind of effect that had on the ice. And then for the sun to kind of come out the way it did, right, without any cloud cover whatsoever, that was a big part of it for me. So yeah, I'm going to swipe left on this one.
It's okay if you saw me and Andrew getting a little bit distracted. It's because my favorite iteration of Sully just made an appearance here at the Outdoor Classic, and that is Swoley. Because, I mean, guys, what? I mean, here, if I can get a second take, he's elite. He is elite. He should be the full time freaking mascot. Sully is great. So he's like a little inflatable ball version of Sully, and he's awesome. I wish I could show you guys, but my camera will not do it justice. So I can have another take. That's what mine would be.
I thought all the mascots were on like Weight Watchers nowadays. Didn't we talk about this like 4 episodes ago that all the mascots are on Weight Watchers and like
He's not on Weight Watchers. He's on the Arnold program.
He's getting his steps in.
Okay, the waddle is pretty adorable.
wasn't that like a Simpsons episode where he had to debulk? I think that's kind of what Smoley did. The chicken fingers at the concourse were pretty good. I gotta say.
He looks like a walking egg. It's just a waddle. He can barely get his arms up. What was that?
He's just like stomping. So he's currently, Swoley is sitting down on the tarp that has the mascot's logo, or the, I'm sorry, Wilkes-Barre Scranton logo, and this is one of the best things I've ever seen, and it's just sending me. I am so just kind of like slap happy now, and I'm so happy that Swoley is currently making a presence here. So yeah, I mean, yeah, guys, he's elite. He's elite. I mean, I know we talked to Talks earlier on, and that was a lot of fun, but Swoley's it for me.
Um, so my swipe left or swipe right this week, I think this event has so far been deemed as nothing but a success. We're about 13 minutes left to go in the second period rather, in a 2-0 game. And I think if the crowd, you know, were able to come back, I get people have lives. We're able to come back for the second round. This would have been a great atmosphere. There's still a pretty good atmosphere. I think the AHL kind of hit it good, but I do want to see a conservative effort to come back again next year to do your own event. And I think that's going to be my take and I don't want to see a piggybacked event, right? Because I think this is kind of what we're starting to see is the ice conditions. You can say what you want, but when you have like 5 outdoor games already played on this, and you have to walk out past teams that have already played and have their stuff painted on the ice. We're going to get a little bit of a look at that. Yeah, you can see down is the Michigan State there. Yeah, so that's kind of my take so far. Yeah, you can see the Michigan there on the left and Ohio there on the right. They had their game here, which was absolutely fantastic. Great that they were able to do that. But yeah, that's going to be my take is that the AHL should saddle up and let's get our own outdoor classic for next year, not every 5 years.
So, and that is actually, well, not that specific thing, but back at the Laval All-Star Classic, one thing that AHL president and CEO Scott Housen had talked about was kind of growing. I mean, not growing the league in terms of adding more teams, but just kind of growing its impact, growing the presence of it. And you'd have to think like that would kind of be part of it, right? Um, because I mean, I don't know what else I can really add that Zach already said, but it just seems kind of like, yeah, again, piggybacky because you have the Ohio State branding, you have the Michigan branding, and you just have tarps that have, the Monsters, the Outdoor Classic, the Penguins logo, and it just seems a little bit rough. And I wanted to talk about Swoley, and now they kind of got him up on the big screen. If I can kind of get him up there, I'm kind of using my computer for this. It might be too bright, and I don't think it's going to come through, unfortunately. um but
Walking egg though. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
you're not wrong. Walking egg with a tail and a beak. But yeah, I would love to see the American Hockey League just do this again on their own. If I didn't already use my super swipe, you would have gotten it. So just honorary super. Oh, and we actually had a penguin just go into the net, taking out Jet Greaves. He looks to be okay. He's up, talking to the ref, kind of shaking it out a little bit. Hopefully, no lasting pains or cramps from that.
Looked like he kind of just was wheeling around near his net, caught a rut, slipped, fell. I was his feet were kind of near the back of Jet's legs, which kind of had me worried for a quick second. But it looks like all parties are okay. It was one of those just completely accidental kind of plays. Play on. I forgot. It's my call on the swipe. I like the idea of having all the local teams coming in and trying the ice out. I think you can get away with it. I just think you got to do it first. Like, it's your event. You got to be the one that comes out. And then once you're done. Okay, then your college teams or your high school teams or whatever, then they get the good ice, right? Like, yeah, it does feel a little weird seeing like an environment that looks like it's going to be hosting a college football game and it's a professional hockey game. So I'm with you on that one, Zach. You're going to get a right swipe from me. Yeah, it seems like they put more effort into those games than they did in this one.
I mean, but to be fair with this, he always has to hit me with the to be fair. So, Cookie for you, if you get the reference. I had to be schooled on that a few weeks ago when we were recording the podcast. So, I mean, I know that, again, it was a piggyback thing, and they actually were. So, if you missed the interview that I had with Ben Adams earlier on, so this was actually an event that First Energy Stadium approached the Monsters about to be a part of this, but still, same thing stands. I wish this was kind of more Monsters themed and not just, oh yeah, by the way, just because it's always, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, because it seems like in Ohio, it's always like, well, Ohio State does it first, and then everyone else can kind of pick the scraps up. And it's just, I don't know. You know what? This is a perfect time to show you Swoley. Because, yeah, I mean, come on. An egg with a beak and a little bit of a tail, but look how elite he is. And then, got one of the Cleveland, I almost say Cleveland Guardians. Wow. Cleveland Cavaliers, inflatable mascots there. Inflatable mascots are the way to go. And, I mean, they're perfect. They're so cute. They're perfect. But yeah, it is kind of tiring seeing the Ohio State kind of like get everything first in a lot of aspects. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you can have what's left over.
And it'd be the same if the NHL came out tomorrow and said, "Oh, hey, we're going to be hosting an an outdoor game in Calgary, right?" And then we put the Wranglers in there, right? Like, why not? We're already playing in, and I kind of get that, it's a bit of a vibe for a minute, but like, there's something to be said about hosting your own thing. We have about 6 outdoor games a year in the NHL nowadays, right? And is it terribly hard to put a game in a field? And you know what? Give it to a team who doesn't have that big sports team to kind of go and see all the time. I think about like the Syracuses of the world. They've had a couple, to be fair. Wilkes-Barre's Grant, give them the chance to host one. Maybe Belleville, grow the sport in Belleville, Coachella Valley. Like, be go out of your way to kind of say, all right, well, let's develop this market a little bit and give it to an underserved market, not just piggybacking off of an Ohio State game.
All I know is this is just kind of rough, and it looks like, yeah, Cleveland taking another penalty here. So I'm going to mute before we get this announcement and blow your headphone users' ears out. So it'll be just a second. So cross-checking is the call for Owen Sillinger out of Regina, Saskatchewan. 3 goals last year, but guess what? He's got another penalty tonight. So, and then don't worry, Andrew still is here. He's handling a little technical issue right now. He will be back. But just, we're kind of 32 seconds away from halfway through this game, Zach. So it's been a little difficult in terms of, we talked about the fans, kind of a little bit of disconnect here on the ice. But what are your just general impressions so far?
Of the score? Or the game?
The game.
Oh, of the game. Okay. Oh.
So by proxy, the score.
By proxy, the score. Okay. Well, I don't know. I sometimes feel like that Cleveland is still kind of in a bit of a feeling out process. Like I feel like they just haven't felt proper and on the ice. They haven't had the opportunity to be like, okay, well, this is, my time to move around the puck well. And I think that's one thing that we've seen Wilkes-Barre Scranton do very well is when they have the puck, they're able to get good quality shots on Jet Greaves. And so I think that's kind of been the advantage for me is the puck control and being able to do things that are able to keep you ahead a little bit. Uh, you know, as for if this will continue this way, I don't know. But like for me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, Wilkes-Barre Scranton, even though the shots are pretty close at 14-12 in favor of Wilkes-Barre Scranton, I think that they have the advantage and they deserve that 2-goal lead that they do have.
And this all goes back to all of the injuries, not only to Cleveland, but also to Columbus. So their roster has been in such turmoil. And then, you know, they get some important offensive figures back in Yegor Chenikov and Carson Meyer, who earlier in the season get called up to Columbus. And then, they were injured, unfortunately. They've been out for a good part of the season, and now they come back. Cleveland going on just a little bit wide. I thought Cleveland might have gone on one there, but Robbie Payne and it looks like Tyler Engel for getting off on a 2-on-1 there. Robbie Payne again, he's creating some open ice for himself. Now that's just a player that last year came up on a PTO, played himself into a contract here, but yeah, unfortunately Cleveland has never had any real opportunity this season to gel, to get lines that work, to even get cross-line chemistry, because in the AHL lines are always getting shaken up. It's not like the NHL where you have your line, like every night, like Patrice Bergeron is going to be on the same line with the same players every night. You don't get that a lot in the American Hockey League. You might have the same starting lines, but they always get jumbled up just as the play goes along. That's just the nature of this league. And there's something to that, but just game after game, nothing's really the same for this Monster Squad. And then even from earlier today until now, Yegor Chernikov looked to be playing in, then all of a sudden he's not in the lineup for the 6:00 restart. So that just kind of, I'm sure it messes with their psyche just a little bit. I don't know. We had this whole huge talk a couple weeks ago about possibly, Cleveland going on a run, making the playoffs. And now, guys, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm really worried. I've been watching this team. This is my 4th season, and I'm a little concerned.
I mean, we counted the Chicago Wolves out how long ago? It wasn't very far, and a quick turnaround, and here they are. Now, the Wolves have been playing really well, and over the course of February, it's been over a month of good hockey, and they're still not in it. They're still clawing their way in, but I think this is also kind of abnormal circumstances between the delay and the conditions and everything. I think that the Monsters they've had a couple looks. Tokarski's been good tonight. They just haven't been consistent with it, and I feel like they haven't had sustained offensive zone pressure, or at least not enough to really get Tokarski and the Pens sweating. Whereas I think the Pens have kind of hemmed them in at times, and it's really kind of you can't score if you don't have the puck. So I'm not counting them out tonight. I'm not counting them out of the season. Does it look great? No. Admittedly, it doesn't look very good at all. But I've been burned a lot of time making some early calls, and I'm not ready to put a fork in the Monsters just yet.
See, that's what I like about these guys. They keep me, honest, but also they kind of keep me a little optimistic about things. And I can be a bit of a pessimist sometimes, especially when it comes to my own beat here. But yeah, it's just Wilkes-Barre Scranton in this game just looks to kind of have it all together a bit. So if we just want to go over the we can kind of go over the goal scoring here real quick while we get this pulled up. Again, we're kind of working through our very first live broadcast from a remote location. So thank you for tuning in and kind of going through this with me. But all the scoring taking place back in the first period at 5:42. Peter Deliberatore getting a goal, even strength. Kyle, that was his first of the season. Assist going to Kyle Olson and Jamie Devane. And then 15:06, so not even 10 minutes later, Ravis Anson's getting his second of the season. So they're getting some truly depth scoring here. And again, Kyle Olson on a 2-point night, getting the primary assist on both of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton goals so far. Taylor Fadoon factoring in on the second assist on a shorthanded goal. And Cleveland actually getting a couple of nice chances here. They actually got a little bit of zone pressure, almost scored there, but Justin Tokarski and that Wilkes-Barre Scranton defense just doing they're doing all the things right. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to say other than Cleveland, please score a goal. Please, for me, for these fans.
No beat bias there. None. Absolutely no beat bias. Not at least from what I can tell.
Well, I mean,
we're going into this very subjectively, where everything is all crystal clear.
I try.
She's trying. And you know what? They've been looking on so many different players throughout the course of this season. And we kind of talked about like Trey Fix-Wolansky being their points leader. I mean, 23 goals, 33 assists, 56 points. Absolutely stunning.
And actually, here's a little bit of a fun history for you. And I think I might have brought this up an episode or two ago, where Trey Fix-Wolansky, joining that 50-point club in the Lake Erie Monsters franchise history. That's only been done twice before Trey Fix-Wolansky, and Justin Tokarski making another great save. I know you got some Cleveland fans down there just yelling, Tokarski, blank. They're trying to psych him out a little bit. I'm sure there's a few people trying to get Wilkes-Barre Scranton fan to say the magic word to get him to break this donut here. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to wish that or jinx anybody. But it would be funny if they scored here. But anyway, yeah, it's just a little.
I was just about to commend you on your professionalism for not saying the word, and then you try to jinx a goal into the net anyways. But what I saw in that shift from the Monsters is exactly what I said that they weren't doing, which was applying that pressure in the offensive zone. I mean, you don't have to just shoot the puck as soon as you get it on your stick. If you move it around the zone, get the defenders chasing, get the goalie kind of unsure where the puck's going to go next, it does a lot. Yeah, there we go.
Goal.
Look at that. Well, then they just do the opposite and shoot the puck as soon as it's on their stick and it's in the net.
So I did jinx it, and there are fireworks going off here at First Energy Stadium as well. They might be reviewing this because it was kind of a delayed reaction from Owen Sillinger there. I'm assuming this is a goal. They celebrated the Pens fan. Oh, and we have a meeting at center ice. And of course, Dylan Simpson, captain of the Monsters, right there to see what's going on. So they're talking about this. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, we can't. Okay, well, kind of a mixed signal here because the Monsters celebrated a goal. The stadium celebrated a goal, but the refs were calling it no goal, but the play is currently under review. So Tarski was way out of his net when the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins goes to get it. Battle along the boards. Tyler Engel gets the puck, and then Owen Sillinger just gets the puck on net, immediately gets it on. And so Tokarski was kind of he had the glove right behind him, and I think that's where the puck was. And then he kind of started leaning back, pulling back, and then that is when all the Monsters started celebrating.
Yeah, but the referee is sitting there right on the goal line. He comes around the back and kind of almost immediately waves it off as no goal. So, yeah, I feel he had a good view. They're going to take a look at all the replays that we don't have. And I think it's important to distinguish that the call on the ice was no goal because it's got to be indisputable to credit the Monsters with the first goal here tonight. Well, their first goal here tonight. Kind of a lot of milling around right now. The referees are in the scorer's box taking a look. And, yeah, Cleveland just did exactly what I told them not to do, which is to shoot the puck as soon as you can hit, because as soon as Owen Soldier had it on his stick, he caught Tokarski from a real tight angle and just snuck it through. And great work by Tyler Angle on that forecheck as well. I kind of felt like the Wilkes-Barre defender had a lot of time, and he had too much time apparently and thought about it. And forechecker was on him, chances had, and we'll see if this one counts.
I think this is the phrase that fans hate to hear the most. Indisputable video evidence. Like, I know, especially if you watch football and there's all these reviews in American football, and you just hear all the time from their experts, like, now this review, there has to be indisputable video evidence, but they're showing on the big screens here at First Energy Stadium, the headsets are on the refs. They are huddled around this and right next to one of the AHL officials. So this is kind of entertaining to watch here, but the headsets are coming off. I'm going to go ahead and mute this. That way you guys don't have to listen to this super loud announcement that happens here in this press box, but we're about to find out. Was the call upheld, or is it going to be a good goal? So the official ruling is no goal. As explained by one of the referees, it was inconclusive if the puck actually crossed the line. But we have Zack, who's actually left our booth here, and he is going to be down here on the concourse. So we're going to go ahead and turn that over to him.
Thanks, guys. And I'm down here on the lower bowl. There truly is no real bad sight line anywhere in this stadium, and I'm right near the back of the lower bowl right now. One important thing to know after that goal, there was so much excitement inside the building, but the building absolutely erupted. There was so much anger towards many of the fans, and I was actually even walking through the concourse, and someone said, "Are you kidding me? That's how the goalie went down." So, it was really a tense moment inside this. And I don't know if you guys can actually hear behind me, but there's still people revolting a little bit about that. This is some perfect temperature. Corey kind of alluded to it a little earlier when he said the weather is just perfect. But you know what? This is the perfect evening weather. There's no sun, no cloud cover really for the most part. Sitting at about 39 degrees right now in Cleveland. And that's it might go up to even 40 by the end of the game. But it's been teetering around that at least since the start. The wind non-existent really down here. You can't feel a thing. It's actually quite pleasant, and I mean that's kind of going to continue into the rest of the game. But man, oh man, you can down here. I like it. There truly is no bad view, and this would be like the cheap seats, I guess, right? Like I would pay good money to sit in these seats. It really brings to me the importance of having another outdoor classic.
I love that description of revolt, because from here we got fans like kind of just a few rows down from us on the other side of this glass here, and they're all standing there. They were celebrating. They had their hands up in the air, and all of a sudden it goes from this and high fives to what? Yeah.
We've all been there.
And you know what? And that was the thing. Like with this stadium, it really does just echo around, right? The way that this is kind of set up as like a bowl type thing. Once they started booing, I was like, oh my God. And for a little while, it was like everybody was just biting their nails, right? They're like, oh my God, I can't believe this, right? And as per AHL rules, you can't actually show the goal while it's in review. And that was a really interesting part about this is that they were actually showing that. So I think fans got a little too much of a taste of that because I think it's ruled about 70.2. I don't know why I know that, but there is actually a rule around that says that you can't show it inside the arena because of that exact reason. And that was kind of what we're seeing here with this. So everybody was just really upset that they had this. It kind of killed the mood a little bit. They're trying to get back on again. You can hear them trying to, let's go Monsters. But like, again, there was just so much disgust towards that goal. And I don't think it helped that they showed it on the big screen.
No, and that was kind of one thing too. It's like, one second you have a shot of the Monsters players kind of looking up, and the next thing you know, there they are replaying it. So the Monsters players were getting a good view. They're looking at each other. Yeah. We got this. We got this. And then kind of the rug ripped out from underneath them. But it looks like here the last few minutes since that happened, the Monsters are playing a little bit more crisp, and it's just working out just a little bit better for them. So maybe they're getting a few more shots. Maybe that's going to give them enough of a confidence boost that they can proceed and maybe actually solve Dustin Tokarski. His name, for some reason, is a tongue twister for me.
It's just that when, we're going back to that word inconclusive, it's your favorite if you're a Wilkes-Barre fan and you hate it if you're a Cleveland fan. And it's just, you see what you want to see in the world of sports. Apparently the refs saw whatever angle we couldn't get a view of it, but it is what it is. You got to play on. Now I have liked the Monsters game a lot here in the second half of this second period. So it's all about momentum. Maybe they can keep riding this train. Can't get down on yourselves like, oh, we got cheated out of a goal. Just got to keep those legs moving, and we'll see what happens.
Almost had a tipping goal there by Cole Fonstad. Almost didn't quite get it. It kind of bounced off his stick a little bit, but the Monsters are kind of cycling right around here. And again, puck looked to kind of be trickling towards the net here, but the referee emphatically, no goal. But Zach, do you have any Wilkes-Barre Scranton fans down there? And if so, how did they react to all that?
You know what? And that's a big thing about the change in this sort of game time. There's actually a good number of fans who made the trek from Wilkes-Barre Scranton. I believe it's about 5 or 6 hours at least. And I feel like a lot of them have gone home. Right. I feel like, and that maybe is a big part of the fans who left and came back, is they simply couldn't make the drive back, or it was just too late. And there's a couple kicking around, there's a few, but not as many as there were earlier. And I do think that there was a lot of Wilkes-Barre Scranton fans here. You guys represented well. I give you full credit for that. But there's really not as many as you would think. There's a couple hanging around, but again, not as many. And there's quite a few Monsters fans here, but everybody's just in jackets, just trying to stay warm a little bit. 39 degrees is a little cold. And it's a lively crowd as there's a little scrum that broke out behind me, right? But these fans are just trying to keep optimistic, trying to keep warm. A lot of them up dancing around, setting you up because there's quite a few empty seats now, at least, right? So they're able to kind of do that now. But yeah, it's been really exciting. But again, when I kind of go back to this Wilkes-Barre fans, there's a couple of them around. I'll give them credit, but not as many as there were.
Well, we just had a little oopsie broadcast over the stadium. So the referee was sending Valtteri Puustinen to the box, and he was talking to him, kind of queued up his mic a little early, and you just hear Puustinen just scream, "What?" And they came in loud and clear. But Zach, I would be very interested if you track down a Wilkes-Barre Scranton fan. I don't know, maybe bring them on the show a little bit and just kind of talk to them about what's going on, and just how are they feeling about this being up 2-0. And of course, Tux kind of called this a little earlier. He gave us a prediction of 3-0, but I don't know. He may be right, but yeah, I would be very, very curious if you could track down a Wilkes-Barre Scranton fan.
You're putting me on the spot here. There's about 15 of them left in the stands. I hate to
Well,
break the
you don't
news.
have to, but
Uh,
I'm looking straight across here, and I see a group of them in
no,
yellow. You can track them
if you
down.
could spot one, I'll go over. No, don't see any. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Uh,
I'll see what I can
unfortunately,
do. I will see what I can do.
looks like 117. There's maybe I can't even tell if that's what the number is, but maybe 117. There's a small group of them, but we are under 1 minute remaining in the second period. Still 2-0. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, but Cleveland's on the power play. Actually, spending some nice amount of time with the puck here. Unfortunately, Carson Meyer getting a little. Oh, there we go. Now we actually do have a good goal. And I was just talking about Carson Meyer. Apparently, I willed it into existence. Carson Meyer with a goal to bring Cleveland out of a donut and into a bit of a creep stick. They got one goal. I know that was so bad, but I had to go with the reference. But actually, it looks like Justin Richards, number 16, led that down. So he might have gotten the tip in there. So good on him. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it was Justin Richards, clearly, but, Carson Meyer had the first celebration, started to lead him off. But, yeah, so alternate captain, Justin Richards, recently back from injury, too. Number 2 in points on the team. He did get a goal in the last meeting with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, so it looks like he likes playing against those Penguins.
I'll let you guys discuss this a little more. The crowd just went electric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a hot dog, and then I'll be back.
Grab me one too, please. So, yeah, with just a few seconds remaining in that first period, the Monsters getting the crowd into this game, scoring at 1928 right now. They're not saying that, well, it looks like the league is trying to adjust the scoring there because it was showing the goal and it came right back off. So they'll get it on there, but a power play goal for a struggling Cleveland special team. So good on them.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I can say it about how much better they were playing in the second half of that period. After kind of getting worked by the Pens there in the first probably 30 minutes of this game as a whole, now you kind of see the Monsters fighting back. And a power play goal right at the I don't know if they're arguing that Puustinen call. I see a couple of Pens mulling around the referees. And that's Dylan Simpson. I don't know what the argument is. Never going to know. The refs wouldn't tell you even if you asked. But they've really clawed their way back into this game. A power play goal in the last minute of the period, that's huge. Now you're going in. It's a 1-goal game, 20 minutes left. You got the momentum on your side. Now you just got to make sure that the intermission doesn't take the wind out of your sails. You got to come out and keep the feet moving. That whole second half of the period, you were in Wilkes-Barre's zone, putting chances on Tokarski. A lot of second opportunities that the Pens defenseman kind of swept away. You get a body in front there, this could be a tie game real quick.
So the official scoring line for this one is going to be a power play goal at 1928 for the Cleveland Monsters. Justin Richards with the goal. Owen Sillinger, his 18th assist of the season, getting the primary. And then Carson Meyer, like I said, I talked about him. He was having a little bit of problem with some puck control along the boards, but he ends up being critical to this goal for his in his limited time in the AHL this season. 14 points. I believe that is actually continuing an active point streak to him or for him that goes back to, I think Zack said like November or something like that, just because again, he's been out of the league there, but the Powell, Ohio native making it work. And then Justin Richards, of course, son of once CBJ head coach Todd Richards, so he knows Ohio well. And oh no, Tuck's just absolutely slipping on the ice. He's out in a bubble hockey game, and he's just having a really good time. And it looks like Zack is back, and he's got.
Hey guys, I'm joined now by Tom. He drove all the way from Pittsburgh. Tom, what do you think of the game so far?
Oh, we love it. Watching the 2-1 lead. The disallowed goal for the Monsters, fantastic. We loved it. It was great.
Do you still think that Wilkes-Barre is going to come away with the game?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're going 4-1 down here. We're making 4-1.
You told me you made the drive from Pittsburgh. How long did that take, and how was that?
About 2.5 hours. Super easy. No rain, no snow. We're good. We got rained out. Well, not rained out, but sunned out. We just went downtown, did some stuff.
Is this your first outdoor game?
First outdoor game, yeah. It was great. It's been fantastic. A lot of fun.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, great work, Zack. He found a Wilkes-Barre Scranton fan coming in from Pittsburgh, and I kind of figured that would be the case. Like, we would get a decent number of fans coming up from Columbus. It's a little over a 2-hour drive, depending on where you are in the city, and it's not a bad drive in from Pittsburgh either. And I think this might even be a good primer to see, like, what would this look like if Columbus and Pittsburgh were to eventually get an outdoor game. But yeah, so it looks like we still got multiple Wilkes-Barre Scranton, like, even though we are in intermission here. I'm just kind of looking around, and I'm seeing some real vintage Pittsburgh Penguin sweaters, Wilkes-Barre Scranton sweaters, just decent smatterings of yellow all the way across. So so actually our photographer just sent me a few nice clips from the pictures he took on this. So I'll kind of let Andrew talk a little bit. If you want to see the pictures that Hector took, take a look at my Twitter at FPHmonsters.
Yeah, I just want to point out a couple of the Penguins fans that you see over here on the left. And there's just sprinkles of gold here throughout the crowd, and I gotta give a shout out to these fans that have come out, not just to make the drive, but then to hang out through the delays. To really, that the passion for this team really speaks out. And I love Tucks. I'm seeing Tucks running around, jumping around, being a part of this bubble hockey game, and Sully just hammered someone, and Tucks just jumps on top of him. That can't be legal. That was just mascot assault. Oh my! I mean, it's been wonderful. You see, I don't remember the name of the Cleveland Browns mascot. He's out there. They have the hot dogs that race in the Guardians games. Oh, they gave him a penalty shot and he missed. He or she, I think it's a he because it's first mustaches, but I'm not sure. It's it's been an incredible kind of night here, and despite everything that's gone on, and here at Field Pass, we are experts in delayed hockey games. So, excuse me, or at least delays in arriving to hockey games. At least that much.
You are the king. I shouldn't say the king, but you have been well studied. I'm
well versed in it. So. We like to see it here, and they're bringing the Zambonis out for. I mean, we get it. It's all fun and games, but honestly, it's a crucial third period coming up for both of these squads that are in the thick of the playoff race. They're trying to get some points to get back into it. Would it be so far as to say whoever wins this third period or whoever loses this third period probably not making the playoffs?
Yep. Well, it looks like Zack's actually popping back in with a few more Pittsburgh, Wilkes-Barre Scranton fans. So, Zack, back over to you.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I'm here joined by Jim and Jerry, who made the drive from Pittsburgh. Where there's actually quite a few Pittsburgh fans here, I guess. Tell me, so far, what are your thoughts on the game?
Pretty good game, pretty good hockey. We're enjoying it. Long day with the delay, but we're having fun finally. Yeah.
What did you guys do during the delay?
We enjoyed ourselves in the parking lot.
I love that. How was the drive from Pittsburgh?
Real nice, real good this morning. A little windy, but it was good.
Easy drive.
Yeah.
Do you think that Wilkes-Barre can hold on to this lead here?
Yes. Yes.
They seemed to be carrying play. Second period was a little not their way, but we'll hold the lead. We'll hold the lead.
Do you think that there's going to be another goal? Who do you think's going to score it?
Empty netter.
It's going to be
Empty netter. There's the fallback, the empty netter.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the game.
We will.
All right, I'll send it back up to you guys upstairs.
All right, thanks, Zack. And those Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Pittsburgh fans, they're feeling pretty confident about how their team's looking right now.
Well, after a couple polls in the parking lot, I'm sure you're going to feel confident on that one. Oh, man, I love it.
Fair. Yeah, I just love, the fans here that are still remaining, they are just, obviously they're having an amazing time, but credit to them, because it really has been a long day, and I'm sure some of them, or quite a few of them, probably came from Columbus, Pittsburgh, wherever they are tonight. And I know it's been a long day, but they have been just amazing. So credit to all of you guys. And I was going to share these pictures, but unfortunately I think my computer is saying, you know what, I'm about done for the day. It's been a long day. It's not sharing, but Hector will be having a full gallery of photos coming up within the next, I would assume, day or two. He's actually really quick at getting these things turned around here. Here at fieldpasshockey.com. And we talked a little bit earlier about the fact that Igor Chinnikov was originally in the 1 o'clock starting roster, and then here for the 2 o'clock. Wow. The 6 o'clock starting roster, he wasn't there. Eric Bradford was actually coming in, and we're actually hearing that it was reported on the Monsters radio broadcast that with doing a warm-up and then a long hold, Igor Chinnikov coming off of a lower body injury, they really did not want to push that. It does take a little bit of time to get the body back in game shape, and just because they're cleared for play or coming back may not always mean that they're at 100%. And at this point, whenever you kind of are in this playoff run, a player that's as dynamic as him, he's a playmaker. He can score. He's kind of a nice all-around young player that I'm not going to fangirl over him, I swear, but he's just one of the ones that you want to definitely be as close to 100% as you can, and there's no sense in trying to make him go out on that and push that whenever there is a lot of hockey still left to play over the next month and a half or so.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to sacrifice a guy for one game when you still have 20 to make for the playoff push. So I just want to shout out to the guy who's wearing a Red Wing jersey in the air guitar competition. You don't see a lot of Red Wing jerseys in Ohio, so I just wanted to give a shout out to that guy. It's nice to feel that they're represented all over, and I'm not just saying that as a Michigander, although I am saying that as a Michigander.
So we did get a quick question on Twitter, and at Schneider Zander is asking, are the ref mics a permanent thing, or are they just for this game? Now, I will say this is the first I am hearing of the ref mics, and I think that's kind of what took us off guard whenever it first came on over the speakers here. So it does, I would assume this is a one-time thing just because of they have the setup here at First Energy Stadium, and it's not really traditional for for the refs to use it. So I would assume a one-time thing, unless I've missed something, which I maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm used to them, and obviously the NHL and the NFL, all the main pro sports leagues, but this is the first time I've ever had not just a ref mic in the AHL, but a ref mic coming out through a speaker in the press box in the AHL. So I was a little surprised when I heard that go off, and I definitely flinched more at that first call than I did when the cannon fired off in the Blue Jackets game last night. I was a stonewall on that one, but the surprise ref coming out of the speaker, that one got me.
I will have to clear it with Zack if I can ever share that video on socials, because poor Zack, and all credit goes to Jeremy Paul. He sent me a message and said, you need to record Zack and Andrew's reaction, which they know that a cannon goes off, but we didn't exactly tell them when pregame it went off. And Zack had the best. I'm sorry, this air guitar thing that they're doing right now is people are getting into it. You can tell they've been out on the Muni a lot today. If you know, you know. But yeah, see, that's the problem. I'm going off on these tangents and I'm completely forgetting what I was even talking about. So
Cannon.
yeah, the cannon. Thank you. See, NHL. We're an AHL podcast, so I kind of forgot. So Andrew coming up with the primary assist on that one. But yeah, so Zack had what I can best describe as the Johnny GrAHL reaction. If you've ever seen the clips of, GrAHL skating around whenever he played for Calgary, of course now that he plays for Columbus, he's a lot more used to it. Well, maybe not a lot. Yeah, they are kind of at the bottom of the standing, so there hasn't been that much scoring, but I digress. So, but poor Zack's sitting there, and I got the camera on him, and then all of a sudden, it goes off, and you see Zack just kind of bleep, and he just flinches, and it was the funniest thing. But Andrew's sitting there stoic, stone. It didn't even phase you.
I have a great poker face. I'm not even gonna lie.
I don't. like you know what I'm feeling. You know what I'm feeling at all times, 100%, and it's gotten me in trouble more than once.
I'm very expressive, so you always know how I'm feeling, and if you've paid attention to the podcast, you know how much I express how I'm feeling. I don't hide a whole lot, including my thoughts on my B team's playoff chances, but I just the cannon was just it didn't get me. I don't know what to say. I was and it was more the fascination of everyone else around me, like that didn't jump you, and I was just like no, was it supposed to?
Because we're used to it. There's been a few goals scored in Columbus over the years, and at the very least, we're used to the one at the very beginning of the game.
Everybody gets one.
Yep.
There was a couple last night, right? Two. Is that a lot in Columbus terms? I don't know.
Yes. I've been a Columbus fan from the beginning. I'm allowed to trash on my team just a little bit here, but
we're not all about beat bias here. We are fair and balanced. We criticize when we need to, and we pump tires when we need to. That's the level that we try and find.
Nothing but professionalism. Sometimes we do it every time.
Professionalism from, I hope they don't score, or I hope they put one in the net in order to break the shutout. Well, it didn't say shutout, but it was the implication of the word.
But it worked. All I needed to do was imply. So what I'm hearing is I need to be doing it more often. Cleveland fans, you can message me from my Venmo, and I'll take all thank yous in there. No. So yeah, we are getting ready to go back to active play here. Third period. This is going to be a huge third period, and they're showing such an adorable photo here. So Trey Fix-Wolansky doing a selfie with the fan. So of course the fans are up in the stands a little bit. So it looks like Trey took someone's phone and did a nice little selfie with them. So he's definitely a fan favorite here. But the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are up on the Cleveland Monsters after 40 minutes by a score of 2-1. And yeah, huge third period. But you know what? Tux isn't right. He didn't call it.
Well, it's tough to translate the squeakers. So. Back, folks. Adam's brought the sunshine with him.
Oh, I always bring sunshine with me wherever I go, or I try to at least. Down there, it's honestly a vibe, right? Like coming back and decompressing on my way up, I was like, holy smokes! Like I talked to a lot of fans out there who came from various different parts of the country. I talked to one guy while I was down there who's actually from DC. He made the trek from DC. Didn't want to go on camera, of course, but that's always the way it is. But everybody was just so happy to be here, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, delay or not, right? Like they were just happy to be here and happy to watch some hockey. And you know what, I said it a little earlier in my swipes, this is a nice affordable way to get out and watch an outdoor game. To be honest, I was going to go see the outdoor game in Boston, which is one of the closer NHL franchises, and even pricing up tickets for that was just totally out of my price range. But when you have these tickets just so affordable, this is the best way. And a lot of these players, you're going to see them up on your Blue Jackets, you're going to see them up on your Penguins. Just give it some time. They got to develop a little, and you know what, this is truly an experience I'll never forget.
Out of your price range for a guy who spent, what was it, 300 Canadian on a Jonathan Quick jersey? Oh boy. Uh-oh. He's got to think about this one.
What scares me is that I'm sitting in the center of these two guys. So on my left, I have Mr. Rinaldi. On my right, I've got Zack Power. And they're starting to... And I'm in the center. I might have to move down with the rest of the writers down at the other end of the press box.
To clarify.
And all of a sudden, they're down here yelling, come join us, come join us. I might have to kind of get a reprieve or kind of be saved from this hostile work environment, guys.
To clarify, I fully endorse the spending of 300 Canadian for a Jonathan Quick Columbus jersey. And we had a tie game. You think she likes it?
I'm not supposed to show emotion, but you know what, guys? This is so huge for this team. And, number 14, Marcus Bjork, the young defenseman coming in. I mean, he's got 3 goals on the season, and all of a sudden, it's up to 4. Marcus Bjork tying it. And take a look at this replay here. So Dustin Tokarski gets a piece of it, but it just dribbles past into the net. So just like that, we're barely into this third period, and Marcus Bjork with some nice eye black on, making this a 2-2 game. Brand new game from now on.
Can I go back and talk to those Wilkes-Barre fans?
Yes.
They were very I don't think they'll want to talk to me now.
If you show up with a couple more of those parking lot polls, then they might want to talk to you.
Would I change their mind if I brought the Quick jersey? Would that change their mind?
I don't think Zack truly understands they don't call it a rivalry, but it's a rivalry between Columbus and Pittsburgh. He doesn't get it. You might be in some hot water down there, friend.
2014 playoffs, baby. Clean. Oh, no, they actually won a game there. That was the first time Columbus ever won a game in the playoffs. They won 2 games Yes, it was the first 2 games they ever won. I remember watching that on TV. Foligno.
Sorry, did I steal your call? I think I stole their call. Oh no, I'm making enemies all over this broadcast booth.
For the record, it was Matt Calvert getting the first in the first playoff win in Columbus franchise history on the road. David Juracek with a nice, really long bomber shot, but On the power play at that, Legare back in the box, and Treyfix Wolanski. Okay. So first of all, back to this thing real quick. Then I'm going to talk about. We just had a post. Some fans thought Cleveland might have just taken the lead there. Okay, so the Monsters just pelting Dustin Tokarski right now. They're feeling it. But yeah, so Matthew Calvert was the first one in franchise history to secure the win. Then Nick Foligno in overtime. I still get goosebumps thinking about that Brandon Dubinsky goal to tie it late in the third. But Nick Foligno getting it done in overtime to get the first in Nationwide Arena. So I'm gonna get emotional because I miss that old Columbus guard.
I thought the Nationwide Arena came first.
Nope.
Game 4. Nope. My
Nope,
memory serves me incorrect.
No, that win actually sent the series back to Pittsburgh tied. It's ingrained in my memory forever because that was such a fun team, like some of those old personalities here. But yeah, so we're getting the goal call now. So number 14, Marcus Bjork getting that second goal here. Huge goal there. Assisted by none other than Treyfix Wolanski. No surprise there whatsoever. He's just a dynamic player, and a lot of his points coming here lately have been as assists. And I've talked to Trent Vogelhuber about Treyfix Wolanski multiple times, but one of the real big things here lately is, he is learning how to be a more team-driven player. So, but we've been kind of talking about the game for a little bit. We're going to kind of turn our focus back to the American Hockey League as a whole here as we start kind of winding this down. And guys, I think it's time to look at who's hot and who's not across the American Hockey League.
All right, I guess we're going to start in alphabetical order because that's what we do. And, I like starting off. So speaking about a little bit of beat bias, we're going to go, I guess I wouldn't call it beat bias because he was the player of the month, but we're going about the Wolves captain, Max Lajoie. And as I alluded to earlier, we kind of counted them out virtually all season, but here come the Chicago Wolves. Led by their captain, they're now just 4 points out of a playoff spot with 20 games left to go. In the month of February, Lajoie put up 5 goals and 9 assists in 11 games to get that Player of the Month award. Now, normally defensive specialist, Lajoie's offensive game has really taken a step forward as these games get bigger down the stretch, and the captain has really put the team on his back to get them back into the race. And I don't know about you guys, and maybe you can call me out for some beat bias to this, but this fair enough. With this Wolves team being healthy, with Pyotr Kochetkov playing as good as he is, if I'm in the Central, I do not want to see the Wolves sneak into the playoffs. I would want Iowa to hold them off as long as they possibly can. But to go over to the not, we're going to talk a little more about Yaroslav Askarov. Now, his rookie season has been nothing short of incredible. I would say Saturday was a little rough for Yaro. I mean, huge game against the top place Stars. You get shelled for 5 goals on the road, and then the kind of just literally add insult to injury or injury to insult. Askarov takes a few rights and drops down to the ice in that fight. I like the shimmy move that he had to start off, but once the knuckles got flying, he couldn't really hold his balance up there and just kind of took a tumble. He's no worse for wear or anything, and I gotta love his Instagram posts. The curls that he's got going on his mustache, he's really looking like something straight out of the 1850s. I kind of love it, but it's a small bump for him in an otherwise great year. But I know you guys are tired of hearing me rip on Grand Rapids or Iowa or something, so I had to go with something different for the not this week.
It's nice to hear you talk optimistically about your B teams, but guys, mine are going to be super simple here. So my hot for the past week, I have got to give it up to the Cleveland Monsters, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, everybody associated with this ice crew, the American Hockey League, all that, for getting this event off. It was a false start. It was a lot of, I keep saying difficulty. That's like the word of the episode, but they overcame everything to get this game going, and this has been a really good contest despite everything. We're tied at 2. Cleveland's now, up to 21 shots to Wilkes-Barre Scranton 17. So not really high in terms of the shot totals, but, defense is playing really well, but major props to all the workers who have stuck around. I know a lot of the concession people are volunteers, so they're doing this as part as their, fundraising for their local groups. So just everyone who's been able to stay around, you get my hot. What is not? The dang weather. It just, it didn't really work out. So that gets my not. Normally, the sun in March, that would be a hot for me. That would be a super swipe up for me, but not today.
I was gonna say the sun's pretty hot. That was the whole delay.
Yeah, and I will give a shout out to all of them. They've been so fantastic. For me, the hot this week, it's Niels Hoglander, who is kind of my shelf pick for this week. And I mean, when we kind of talk about his skill on Abbotsford, he's brought so much to the table for them over the past little while. And it doesn't. It's to all areas of the ice, and the way he's kind of carried that team, and Abbotsford's a team who's had their relative struggles over the past little while. Last season didn't work out so good, but check out this absolutely filthy move. I think if we can rewind the clock a little bit, here we go. And just watch. Just watch.
Oh.
That he just looks silly, absolutely silly. What are you to do as a goaltender? And Marty St. Louis actually made that move famous. First start against Marc-Andre Fleury, but that's absolutely fantastic. And the not for me, honestly, it's got to be Manitoba, right? Like, take one on the chin. Learn to take one on the chin. You don't. They went full Dale Hunter there on the goaltender, and that for me is got to be the not.
Well, just kind of checking back in here. 13:50 now remaining in the third period. Still all locked up at 2 here. You can kind of get, even though we're behind a pane of glass, just kind of looking at the body language of some of these fans out here. Definitely getting a little tense. We just had a nice little collision in the corner between Tyler Secura, used to be with Cleveland, assistant captain. Started his pro career just on the other side of Lake Erie with Toledo. Kind of coming together there with Brendan Miller on Cleveland's defense. So it's getting a little bit of tense here. I think I'm getting the feeling that each team is kind of just waiting for somebody to make a mistake here. But what we are going to do is we are going to go down. We kind of talked about the standings a little bit, but we're going to go ahead. Actually, before we do all that, we were talking about Trey Fix-Wolanski a little bit earlier. I'm going to go ahead and queue up an interview that Andrew had a chance to actually talk to him before the game earlier on today, and I'll get that keyed up for you. It's a little bit easier whenever I'm back at home, have 2 screens, but you know what? We're on site. We are making this work.
Good time for an interview.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll get it here. Sometimes this works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Start off, did you, in case the sun comes out today, you got those aviators from Top Gun night?
No, I actually had a couple buddies text me that I should wear them, but I think I'm just going to go with eye black tonight.
Fair enough. It's good luck.
Yeah.
Have you ever played in a similar kind of experience like this maybe back in Edmonton?
No, obviously, growing up in Edmonton, started skating on outdoor rinks and stuff like that, but never actually got to play in a game on an outdoor rink, other than shinny and pickup games with my buddies. So this is going to be an amazing experience, and I'm super excited for it.
For sure. All that rain kind of came through yesterday. Early March isn't really a time for your typical outdoor game. So, have you and the guys kind of talked about maybe keeping the game simple on this ice?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the number one thing, is not overcomplicating things. Obviously, the ice isn't going to be that good, and the weather might be a little bit chilly, so just playing a simple game, that's going to be important for us.
Absolutely. You guys haven't seen the Pens since December. Going into a game like this, where you're not as familiar with your opponent, how does it change how you approach a game prep?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're a tough team to play against, but you can't focus too much on what they're doing, and you got to focus on what you're going to do out there and the systems you're going to play, and kind of make adjustments as the game goes.
You got a coach on your bench, Marco Testu, that's been in an outdoor game like this before. Has he given you any wisdom on how to play?
Nothing yet, but I'm sure it's going to be coming before the game.
All right, that's all for me.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
And always love when we get a chance to meet back up with Trey Fix-Wolanski. One of the he almost let one rip on Dustin Tokarski, but puck flittered just a little bit wide. But we're going to go ahead, and we already talked about it a little bit earlier on in the show, but we're also going to do another really quick rundown of the standings in the American Hockey League in our race for the Holy GrAHL.
I'll start things off in the Atlantic Division. I'll pinch hit for Corey here, who's really the expert in all this, and his Hershey Bears are up on top. Their home record 27-2-1. Absolutely stunning. They got about 3 points up on Providence right now, who's pretty close down at a second place at 72 points. Charlotte rounding out that third place spot with wins in 6 of their last 10 games, including that one there Friday night. Zack Martin putting up some excellent quality content on that, and you can check more on that on the Field Pass Hockey app. Springfield coming down at that fourth place, 60 points. That's a bit of the separation between them, the 7 points between Springfield and Charlotte. Lehigh Valley in there, close there with 58. 56 points for Bridgeport on the year. They've had their better games on the road, 12-7-6-1 record. Then we have Hartford, who's tied there with Bridgeport, but has the exact same win percentage, which is crazy to kind of think about. And Wilkes-Barre Scranton rounding out that bottom spot, 11-11 at home, with 3 overtime losses and 1 shootout loss. 52 points for them.
And turning our sights back to the north, where the Cleveland Monsters are located. Toronto Marlies, of course, still up at the top, 77 points, 700 points percentage. Syracuse Crunch following up in second with 27 wins. Utica Comets coming in at 60 points, only 1 point behind Syracuse. In fourth, we have the Rochester Americans at 57 points. The Laval Rocket, who, they're kind of turning it back on here. 2-game win streak, 6-3-1-0 in their last 10. In fifth place, they're holding that final playoff spot at 55 points. Then outside of the playoff picture right now are the Belleville Senators. They actually retake that 6th spot because they did win last night. Also kind of riding hot right now, 6-4-0-0 in their last 10, but they are 4 points out of that spot. And then the Cleveland Monsters, 1 point behind the Belleville Senators. They are on a 4-game losing streak right now. But the big thing here is games remaining. So the Cleveland Monsters have 20 games remaining. The teams in front of them, the only other team that has the same number or more, which no one has more games remaining than Cleveland and the Rochester Americans. So the 2 teams that they have to jump to get into playoff contention, 17 games remaining, 18 games remaining. That may be huge coming down that stretch there.
As we look over here in the Central, we talked a lot about the ramifications of that Milwaukee and Texas game that was played last night. Texas is top dog once again, and the back and forth between them and the Admirals continues with Stars on top. Manitoba, though, 7-1-1. There's a lot of ones in there. 7-1-2 in the traditional sense in that third spot, kind of keeping them on the heels of the Admirals. And despite just 3 wins in their last 10, you got Rockford remaining there in 4th. Iowa 3 points behind them in that last playoff spot in 5th, but again, like I said, don't look now, but the Chicago Wolves, they're 4 points back of the playoff spot with 2 games in hand. They're playing well. They can make this really interesting. And you know who's not is the Grand Rapids Griffins. They're trailing behind there. They really need to win against the Wild tonight. I call it like I see it. And it's tied 2-2 with the. I mean, yes, they can beat Iowa. They can make it interesting. This is a team that doesn't quit, doesn't ever give up on the fight. We'll just see if they actually have the consistency and the execution to make it happen.
And you know what? For me, the story of the Pacific Division has to be Henderson, who came back and won 5 straight games to kind of be a 5-game losing skid. And there's unfortunately that they're a little far back in their playoff race to be able to kind of come away with anything in the interim. But when you look up and down the standings, Calgary still has that lead, but they won't for long. They have 4 extra games played over Coachella Valley, who's hot on their heels with just 1 game behind. Looking at the number 3 spot is Abbotsford, who's 10 points behind Coachella Valley. They won't have any playoff struggles or getting in there, but the looks of it. Neither will Colorado, who's tied with them with 66 points. On going down the list, Ontario's there, but Tucson is on the wrong side of a cliff with just around 11 points in separation between the two. Bakersfield rounding out that towards the middle of the pack in that 7th place spot. 2 straight losses for them. A tough couple of games, I guess. Henderson, we talked about, in that 9th place spot. They have 47 points, which is 2 behind San Jose, who's got 22 wins and 26 losses, with 1 overtime and 1 shootout, and 4 shootout losses rather. And San Diego rounding out that bottom, a 7-21 record at home, 9-19 on the road. Things just haven't been going good for them. They've won 4 of their last 10, I guess. They're shooting at about 40% and 29% on the year.
And then we are going to go ahead and share our final player interview. Earlier on today, Alex Nylander from the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins took some time with me to ask to answer a few questions about his experience over the past month. Of course, he was the representative for the Penguins at the All-Star Classic in Laval, and now playing in this outdoor game, and also kind of talking about what it means to get out of that Atlantic Division standings car crash a little bit, which you've heard Corey talk a ton about that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up for you now.
What a month it's been for you. First you're in Laval for the All-Star Classic. Now you're here at this outdoor classic. Just what has the last month been like for you?
Oh, it's been a lot. Obviously, we had that, like you said, the All-Star Classic, and that was a lot of fun up there in Laval. The fans were crazy and amazing, so it's really cool to see the crowds sold out there. And now we got this game, which is, I don't know if it's there's been a Winter Classic kind of thing in the AHL before. Or no?
I mean, there has been several outdoor games, so this is the first in several years.
It's going to be awesome for us. I'm really excited. It's going to be a really cool experience.
So I know you guys are in a little bit of a rush stretch now, but here you are in this marquee game with lots of eyes. Is there any added pressure, or is this just kind of going to be another game for you?
Well, it's going to be a little bit different, I think, but it's going to be another game for us. I think we're all going to just play like how we have been playing, and we have a little bit tough stretch, but we're playing good hockey, so we just got to figure out how to win it and get back to that column, and I think we'll be fine. So I think that the boys are just really excited, and it's going to be a lot of fun out there.
So, and then with this game too, it's a chance to get out of the Atlantic Division. Just how does it feel to kind of get out of that kind of a car crash of the standings and get into the North?
Yeah, of course. We play the same team so many times throughout the season, so it's nice to play a different team, and we haven't played these guys in a while. So it's just going to be a lot of fun, and if I'm playing a different team instead of the people in our division, so we're just going to bring our A game and be ready for puck drop.
And have you ever played a game outdoors before?
I have when I was younger, but obviously nothing like this. So this is my first game, and I'm just really excited and happy, and I'm just going to bring our game to the field.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much.
What a good guy. he's a part of a team right now that has put 26 shots on net throughout this hockey game so far. Dustin Tokarski is in net for Wilkes-Barre Scranton, 2.45 goals against average on the season, a 918 save percentage. Looking at a 10-9-4 record throughout the season, his goaltender on the opposite is going 11-11-4 throughout his and 14. Sorry, 11-11. Let's ignore that stat. But but he's got a 3.42 goals against average and an 891 save percentage. Now, he actually started in the last contest, ended up giving up 5 goals on 17 shots in that last meeting before having to be subbed out for another goaltender in that. That was an 8-1 decision. And we talked about the last time that both of these teams met. It was Cleveland at Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and it was a 5-1 decision, rather. So he did stay in for the duration of that. No, I lied. I'm very decaffeinated, Zach Power. So we're going to start this sentence again, okay? So the last time that these two teams met was on December 9th. He had to start, Jet Creeps, okay? He got pulled after the first 5 goals. It was an 8-1 final. There's 2 more games on the season, this one here, and 1 more in Cleveland to kind of round out the 4 magical games between these two teams. We talked about their record in the past 5 years, 2-10-0 for Cleveland.
I believe they're playing tomorrow at the Romo Five-Hole, if I'm not mistaken.
You did it right.
I did do it right.
I'm so proud of you.
I know. You act like I don't pay attention to things, but I do. I do. She doesn't act like that. I'm just ribbing her. We got 7:53. Yeah, I know. I'll catch these hands sooner or later. 7:53 to go in this game. Still tied 2-2. Cleveland's really kind of been coming along since, like I said, the middle part of that. You started to just feel the vibes changing, and Wilkes-Barre just hasn't had that success that they were finding early on in this game. They were getting chances on. They were really sustaining pressure, and it just hasn't really been there tonight in the second half of this game. It's just been who's that? Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities, really shining through here. Wow, I'm just hitting on all of them. I don't do this often. I barely. There we go. That's the camera. But Zach, how are you really feeling? Who's gonna kind of come away with this one at the end of it?
You know what? I'm digging this momentum here by Cleveland to date. And I think that they've really picked up their pace throughout the third period. And who's leading that charge is I don't know, but there was definitely a shift from what what we've seen. And I really do think that there was something special said in the locker room in the third period, in between the second and third period. So it's anybody's game, but right now it'll all come down to goaltending. Really, can Jack Greaves kind of be able to bounce back a little bit? He was pretty good, and I got to admit, Wilkes-Barre was all on top of him, and now the ball's in his court to kind of be able to save the smaller stuff, right? As there was just about a toe drag goal there for a minute, and that caught me off guard.
That would have been nasty.
And again, Dustin Tokarski on the other side has, he's fallen victim to just a relentless pressure by Cleveland, and that really does take a toll on a goaltender.
I mean, there's a couple of odd man rushes coming on there on Jet Greaves, and he made 2 huge stops on both of those. The one was the chance going far side that he got the toe on, and that one, the toe was coming his way on the drag, and he still came up and made himself big in that crease. So Jets really looked dialed in since those couple of early goals in this game, and we'll see if he can keep it up. I mean, that was a couple of the not many quality chances there for the Pens, and he's really stepped up on it.
So, Zach, I have to ask, you said you were going down for a hot dog. Did you not find hot dogs?
I kind of don't have the spending funds right now. For some reason, I was intrigued to get some kind of jersey. Don't know what one it was. Didn't know this player, but apparently this Jonathan Quick guy is some sort of staple or something in Columbus.
Legend.
So I couldn't dish out another $9 for a hot dog.
So I'm kind of enjoying this. Like in the last couple of breaks here, the like Dylan Simpson and a few of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton players are like following the linesmen around like little kids at a soccer game, following the ball. But yeah, just kind of amusing here. But um, so basically, we're going to go ahead and share our last interview here. Also, being generous with his time earlier this morning was Monsters head coach Trent Vogelhuber, and he actually chatted with our very own, I guess, CBJ lore legend, Zack Power. So yeah, we'll go ahead and bring that to you now as soon as my computer decides to catch up with me.
So tell me, going into this game, what's kind of the message to the locker room?
Oh, the message is to enjoy it for sure, but it's an important game for us. We're right in the midst of the playoff race, so we've got to focus in and get to our game right away. And I think there's a lot of kind of extracurricular distractions that can be there, but we want to establish our game being real simple early, right? Take a lot of that excess stuff out of it and just play simple, direct hockey, especially for the first period to get ourselves in.
How critical is 2 points coming down the stretch in March?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. We had a really good run there for the month of February, and then we've been on a little slide here and kind of given some of those games back. So it's getting really close to do or die here for us, and so our guys know that, and we've got to establish that urgency right away.
Many of these players, it's their first time playing outdoors. What was kind of the advice that you gave them heading into this game?
Well, just again, it's the same thing. It's just to enjoy that for sure. We got family and friends here, and it's a spectacle and a great experience for everybody. But at the end of the day, it's a hockey game, and it's an important one for us. So we've got to focus in and get to work. And it'll be a much more enjoyable experience if we focus in. Make sure we're working and get 2 points at the end of the day.
A final question: anything specific that you practiced ahead of the outdoor game? Maybe some on-ice drills because of the kind of difference?
No, nothing specific. It was more so just really talking about understanding maybe the ice might not be up to par. It is what it is, right? So you deal with it. You don't get frustrated. We're both playing on the same surface. And again, just to be as simple as possible to take that out of the equation as much as we can. The more north we can go, the less kind of meat on the bone that we can have here will benefit us. Thank you.
Good guy, and I think that his team has kind of put up a really good effort in the better part. And it's so hard with these outdoor games. I think he really did say it best when he said, let's just stick to our game. And he told me a little off camera too. He said, this is just another game for us, right? And obviously the ice isn't going to be as good or whatnot, but when you break it down into the bare bones, this is just another game. And as long as you can keep your team distraction free, you will come out successful. And I think that Cleveland is a lot less distracted in the third period as they were in the first and second.
So I want to know the story of this fan's jersey that's kind of down here. He is wearing, it looks like a wild, can't tell if it's Minnesota or Iowa, but on the back it says Dogfish Head. I wish there was an easy way I could get to him and have him explain.
No, it's not a
It's not?
I don't think it is.
Okay. I thought it was. I just see the green and y'all, again. Okay, maybe it's not. I don't know. Turn around.
That's college hockey.
Oh, that's a college hockey one? Oh, I just see the cream and the orange or the green. And yeah, I can't even tell colors anymore. That tells you how tired we are.
That's his beer league jersey. You know that, right? He wore that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I played against them.
Guys, it's 8:39 at night. We've been broadcasting for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
We've been here since 10 o'clock.
We're a little slap happy now, and we still have to find dinner, and we have a 2-hour and about 15-minute drive back to Columbus.
How about this? We'll put it up to the fans of Cleveland. Any fans in Cleveland know of a good place to eat because we're all ears. We're all good and hungry. That tender box has since come and gone from the concession stand umpteen hours ago. Give your Canadian boy something good to eat.
Can somebody please chime in with fatheads because I'm really wanting a brumbleberry salad like nobody's business right now. I'm just saying I've kind of already, well, Andrew and I have kind of already made our decision, and yeah, a huge ovation here from the Cleveland faithful as Jack Greaves helps huge in killing off a Jake Christensen penalty. I believe that was for cross-checking, making several nice little kick saves there. But yeah, I think everyone here is getting just a little tired. You can kind of see it in our eyes a little bit. But I just kind of want to know. If you guys had to pick an MVP of the day, it doesn't necessarily have to be of the game, but of the day, who would it be?
That guy who was surfing on the tarp when he was pretty awesome. I really enjoyed him. My honorable mentions are going to go to what's Luoto's first name? I'm sorry, I should know this. Yona Luoto. For providing the entertainment during the 5-hour delay. I'll get back to you if I find another honorable mention. But those are my top two.
I'll give it to Trey Pixwanski, I think. And I'll do that for a couple of reasons. First, if he didn't wipe and eat a bit of that ice there in the warm ups, we probably would have been home a little earlier, but the game would have been a little less of quality. Let's just say that. But, he's kind of been all over the ice for me so far this game. And I think that kind of goes without saying that he, in his one assist that he has, 4 shots on goal. And so that's kind of another part of it. A goal would really round it out for me, but I think he's a bit of a dark horse for me in the way that he's played all throughout the ice so far this evening. And he really could be a key contributor with like just over 2 minutes left to go in the third period here.
Okay, so I'm going to give my first MVP to Roman Ashan. Similarly to Yona Luoto, so during that break and the players were starting to come back outside, we're checking out the rink once the tarps were coming off, he shows up. He is just strutting down that catwalk that they have here for the players to come out of their locker rooms. And literally the aviators that Trey said that his friends were trying to get him to wear, Roman stepped up, wore those Top Gun giveaway aviators from last season. And you could tell he was kind of feeling himself. And guys, we've got a breakaway. Carson Meyer on a breakaway. And Dustin Tokarski denies Carson Meyer. I got a little bit of goosebumps there. But yeah, so Roman Ashan giving me my first one. I'm going to give another MVP to the in-arena announcers here. So the Monsters have a group of 3 kind of doing all of the broadcasting, or not broadcasting, but, getting all the fans hype. And 1 minute remaining in regulation, guys. It's been so much of a delay here today that not even 60 minutes, I don't think, is going to solve this game. But these 2 guys and this girl have just been doing a fantastic job keeping these fans in this game entertained, getting it hype. I mean, in the last, little bit of a break here, we like the walls, these glass walls were literally vibrating. You can probably see us just vibing with that. So those would be my 2 non-game MVPs. And of course, these fans that have stuck around. The crowd looks just as big as it did whenever this game kicked back, or I guess restarted. Not even restarted, but got underway at 6 o'clock here. And I see a lot of them kind of bundled up in blankets and stuff, but these people have stuck it out. Massive stick taps to you guys. Overall, you are the MVPs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just
Sometimes you don't need anything more.
And you know what was amazing about the players in between? They went over and greeted the few fans that were left. Obviously, the fans can't really go on to the field or whatnot because of safety concerns. But the players had no problem going over to the ends there and interacting with the fans and talking with the fans, getting selfies with the fans. And I think that was a really cool thing to do to recognize us. We turned out to overtime here in a moment. Um, I think that was a really cool thing for them to recognize and do for many of the fans who stayed around. And you know what? Again, we talked about it before, but a lot of the fans they went out and they tried to find a way to stay warm. A lot of them left and came back for good reasons. But for the fans that stuck around and just enjoyed the vibe, I think they'll have a memory that they'll always remember. Right? This is very, really and truly just a game that these people will never forget. They were able to talk to some monsters and penguins throughout their time. Even the penguins came back out and talked to a couple of fans. So you know what? Good on the players for doing what they did.
And we saw a lot of that when Deana and I were out in Laval during the skills competition, where they kind of cut away part of the glass and allowed the players to get in and interact with the fans. I think that's something that makes this league so special, is just kind of how tightly knit that these communities are, how much the fans love the players, and how much the players love the fans. I feel like it's a little more intimate down here in this league, and these players love the support that they get, and it really shows in moments like those.
And I personally love, and that's one of the many things that I love about the American Hockey League in general, is that there is that closeness. Like, you don't necessarily see that in the NHL or any other real professional sport. It's just, yeah, it is just something truly special. I love that. And even while we were standing there kind of surveying the work on the ice and the monsters came out, we're there and we say hello to Josh Dunn, and Trent Vogelhuber walked by, and we're kind of chatting with him like, yeah, long day, huh? And he just had the biggest smile on his face, and all he said was, you know what, I'm happy to be here, and we're all in this together. And that's really just the mentality of the American Hockey League in general, like from the media to the players to the coaches to the fans. Like, this is our league, and everybody embraces it, everyone loves it, and it's such like a tight-knit community. And whenever you can get people out like this, it's something special. But 3-on-3 overtime is underway here, and we'll see who's going to come out on top here. And yeah, we got a nice battle. We got a game-winning goal and now a fight.
Oh my god. Are we doing this?
Guys, I think Cleveland just scored, and at the exact same time, Josh Dunn got into a fight, and they're calling it. The Cleveland Monsters win the Outdoor Classic by a score of 3-2.
That's an awesome ending.
So yeah, we're so a couple of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are gathered with the refs. Dylan Simpson skates over there, but they have announced here that Cleveland has won. Some people are starting to filter out, but there is a meeting of the minds over there with some of the officials. The Monsters are headed back to their bench. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, so let's kind of keep an eye of the situation. But what a chaotic way to win, but yet it still feels on brand. they're kind of showing a close-up of some of the Monsters guy. Drake Fulansky just turned around and is pointing good goal at the refs. Jake Christensen, big smile on his face.
Both teams are at their benches, though. No one's leaving.
So
I feel like that would be such a downer if they just turned this around, right? Fireworks are going off.
A linesman rush skated over to the benches and now rush skating back to the referees. Let's see what they do. Okay, and it is a signal.
Okay.
Good goal. The Monsters win the Outdoor Classic, coming back from 2-0. And then Zack Power coming up clutch with the film.
Roll it out at center. Here's Josh Dunn. Offhand right wing carry. Dunn a 2-on-1. Has it. Fire shape. Tokarski. And he doesn't know where it is. Loose to his left. Still no whistle. It's in. They score. They score. It's Bjork in OT. A fight for Dunn. This one's over. Marcus Bjork wins it for Cleveland. The final 3-2. A storybook ending to a day we'll never forget on the shores of the lake, the Outdoor Classic in Cleveland's column at First Energy Stadium.
A little bit of everything here in overtime, Tony. Again, Tokarski can't find the puck on the Josh Dunn shot. This time Marcus Bjork finds it and puts it in the back of the net.
Second of the game, and maybe none bigger in his career. Certainly.
What a call from Tony Brown there. Now the Monsters are gathered at center ice. They did salute the fans, and they did announce like the Cleveland Monsters have won, but now the refs, one of the refs is still kind of got his head in that little hole in the glass there, talking to some of the other officials. And Wilkes-Barre Scranton has not left the bench. I'm not sure what's going on, if there's a challenge or what's going on, but both teams still out on the ice. Cleveland kind of gathering by their bench. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, and now both officials skating over to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. I mean, honestly, this ending kind of seems like, yeah, it's been such an odd day. So at the end of the game, Dustin Tokarski given a 10-minute conduct for abuse of officials, and Cleveland.
That's a suspension.
Well, I mean, I think you can give misconduct for abuse of officials for like badgering them, and I mean, if it was a physical thing, that's different. But considering that Tokarski's still out there on the ice, I wouldn't say it was a physical thing, because if he had to be like physically taken out, that would be different. But he definitely was arguing that way for quite a long time.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because I think about the game that happened between San Jose and Manitoba this year. I forget the player, but he went off and he slashed his stick, and it accidentally hit the referee, right? And we talked about that on the podcast earlier this year. I think they're kind of standing together to kind of wait for a handshake between both of these teams. I don't really think that they're contesting it at this moment, but either way, it's a win, and I think it's a good day.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like the officials were over there taking a look at it. They skated back over to Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and one of the coaches had some words with them. But yeah, Dustin Tokarski getting that at the very end. And they're going through the 3 stars here. So officially the 3rd star is Jake Christensen. He skates around, salutes the fans. They're currently getting a team photo, but of course he had to go salute the fans. 2nd star, Owen Sillinger, getting that 1st goal for Cleveland today, getting them off.
Biggest salute I've ever seen.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it's got to be Marcus Bjork, right? 1st star? Got to be. 2, yep, Marcus Bjork. For the Columbus Blue Jackets prospect, what a huge showing for him. First of all, tying the game, then getting the game winner in overtime. And, of course, the Monsters, like I said, lining up for a few shots here of the team as they celebrate. And of course, Wilkes-Barre Scranton, I think they're waiting to do the customary handshakes at center ice, one of the greatest showings of sportsmanship in the game.
let's talk about the guts of the Cleveland Monsters. They were down 2-0. They could have early, and they could have easily just mailed this one in and just said, tonight's not our night. Battled back, and like I said, I said many times already on this stream, that midway point in the second period, something clicked, and this team really just grabbed the momentum of this game right out of the Penguins' hands and never really gave it back. Those last two periods, they outshot the Pens 19-10 in total. Ended up taking the W here in overtime. Just what an effort. They held on to the puck. They put shots on Tokarski and really challenged him, forced him out. Defense really stepped up. And when a shot got through, Jack Greaves made a lot of really good saves in the end to kind of put his team in a chance to win and ultimately take this one in overtime.
Yeah, I tried to show the handshake line real quick, but unfortunately with all the lighting, it's not going to work. But guys, any final thoughts here as we wrap this up at 8:55? At this point, I think we were kind of planning on already being back in Columbus. But I guess I'll just kind of lead it off with my final thought here. But once again, great job to the Cleveland Monsters and Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. A lot of people stepped up here to make sure that this event still would go on. Massive hat tip. Tip of my hat to the fans who stuck this out, created a nice electric environment, and just amazing job all around. They have a lot to be proud about despite the sun delay today.
Yeah, it was kind of in question after a while. You kind of wondered where this event was going to go. There was so much promise at the start, and then kind of takes the wind out of the sails at first and not have that 1 o'clock puck drop. But, Vogelhuber said it the best. We're all in this together, and everyone kind of came together, put on a great show of a hockey game. The Monsters come out with the win, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I think everyone who toughed it out in the cold tonight, I think they've enjoyed themselves as well.
I'm just shocked that the sun didn't get the first star, because that was really the thing that kind of shined the brightest over the afternoon, and even did so much so as had a showstopper of a performance, to say the least. So with that, I'll leave my final thought with sunny futures ahead. And, as the great Trooper song said, the sun is shining. We're here for a good time, but not a long time. And that was the case for the afternoon.
The sun was the anti-hero.
Give thanks to the sun god.
Well, guys, that is going to be it. We have been live for 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 12 seconds now. It has been a heck of a show. Thank you for staying with us, for all those who participated. Andrew, Zach, it's been my absolute pleasure to go over this game with you. And Zach's sliding out. He went by. He is the sun.
He is forgiven it.
So that's going to be it. So on behalf of my co-hosts, Andrew Rinaldi and Zack Power, who the sun, our celebrity, this has been the Holy GrAHL podcast. Thanks again. Tune in next Thursday for our regularly scheduled episodes.
This has been the Holy GrAHL podcast. Have a question or a topic suggestion? Hit us up on Twitter or drop us an email. For the latest news across the American Hockey League and the rest of minor league hockey, download the Field Pass Hockey app, now available in the Apple and Android app stores.